If you've ever had the realization you just need to let the bot do its thing, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook as we get you set for the session here on this hump day. That's right, it's Wednesday, which means it is Tim Melvin Day. So get ready to put your hands together. We got another exciting day of trades. We got more earnings being reported here tonight. We're coming off of the back of SpaceX and AMD last night. This morning, we had you and Shopify, amongst others. Lots to go through, lots to cover, and hopefully lots to trade. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Wednesday Hump Day edition for August 5th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. We also upgraded the office a little bit here. Looks awesome. Business is booming, as they say, so we're able to upgrade the digs a little bit. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. Solitary Soldier is first here today. Good morning, Solitary Soldier. Early bird gets the worm. Good on you. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. Peter, what did you think of the presentation with Tim? Are you going to use any of those scans that we talked about last night? Felt like we gave you a lot of really good stuff and showed you how to manipulate that scanner accordingly. Let me know what you thought. Derek, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Pot G, happy Wednesday, Ryan, and the Benzie gang. Good afternoon to you, Pot G, and good morning from here in the States. Zach McCracken, good morning to you and the Benzie gang as well. Robert, good morning. Alan, good morning. Barb, good morning. Brett, good morning. Jay, good morning. Wiss, good morning. Producers locked in, ready to go. Good morning. Carmen, good afternoon from Romania as we continue our global reach here on this program. Carmen, welcome. Hopefully your afternoon is treating you well, and hopefully your morning was excellent. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. It's great to see you. EKS, good morning. Welcome back. EKS telling you Clear Secure, which is you, beats the top line and bottom line results and gives a good outlook. You trading higher here. 61.55 is your pre-market high. 62.73 is the level to beat. We're not far. Maybe we get another breakout here in you today. That's been good on us since the 30s. Cynthia, good morning. Welcome back. Alan, good morning. Alim, good morning. Lion Atlas is here. Good morning. Good to see you, Lion. I hope you're well. AC, good morning. Welcome back. Dirkus, good morning. Welcome back. G-Cord, good morning. Welcome back. Just passing through. Good morning. Welcome back. Carmen, soft landing on SpaceX. I have made the case that it was grounded. SpaceX is grounded, but we'll see how that trades here today. Actually, the report wasn't terrible, to be quite honest with you. It was not terrible. Janie, good morning. Welcome back. Robot to Trade, good morning. Welcome back. Unpopular Truth and Chuck, welcome back. Richard Judge, welcome back. Astro Kev, welcome back. Let's go. HP Darkside Hemi, good morning. Welcome back. Mark, good morning. Joe, good morning. I See My K, good morning. Richard, good morning. Rocky Mountain Chainsaw. That is an epic YouTube handle. Good morning and welcome. Keep the sheath on that chainsaw. Let's not make a mess today. Rooster, good morning. Lance, good morning. Corey, it's great to see you again. Welcome back. Good morning. I See My K, yes. Hello, fellows and ladies. Of course, we don't forget. We don't discriminate around here at all. Delvin, good morning. And Neville, good morning. Peter said it was a great program last night. Okay, great. Yeah, I know Benzinga Pro's great day trading tool, but there's actually a lot of really good long-term stuff in there. Tim's a master at uncovering it. And I think one of the missteps is that it's not readily obvious where that stuff is in Pro. So that's why we do those sessions. A ton of really good stuff to set you up for long-term trades in Pro. I'm glad you found value from it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. Green on the screen again ahead of Wednesday's open here, although just kind of minorly in the green. S&P futures up 0.44%, the Dow futures up 0.48%, and the NASDAQ higher by 0.12%. So all indices under 0.5%, but all to the upside. Quick check-in on oil before we get going here. Oil is holding steady higher by 0.5% in the 76 handle. Now, let's take a look at some cues from last session as well as what we can expect today. I, of course, do have some stocks in focus for you here today as well. Information technology, materials, and industrial stocks led gainers, while utilities, energy, and consumer discretionary saw the largest losses on Tuesday. U.S. stock futures rose on Wednesday as the Dow Jones and S&P 500 indices advanced after the Dow and S&P hit new all-time highs on Tuesday and closed higher. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in an interview with CNBC that there is a chance the Iran deal may be reached on Tuesday or Wednesday to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and restore the navigation of commercial ships through that critical waterway. Quote, "We are in talks with the Iranians," end quote. That was from Bessent, while adding that there could be major relief across energy products, fertilizers, refined products, and industrial gases once the deal is reached with Iran. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.6%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.2%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show markets pricing in a 58.9% likelihood that the Federal Reserve hikes the current interest rates in its meeting in September. Now, we have several stocks in focus here for you today, and the first one is going to be Advanced Micro Devices. This is ticker AMD. They reported better than expected results in the second quarter with revenue of $11.54 billion and adjusted earnings of $166 per share. That beat the estimates of $11.2 billion and $161 in earnings per share. AMD, however, shares are down over 8.4% in Wednesday's pre-market trade. The next stock on our list is going to be SpaceX, ticker SPCX. It reported second quarter revenue of $7.81 billion with a loss of 9 cents per share. Now, that beat the consensus estimate of revenue of $6.93 billion, so it beat by just about $1 billion. And it beat on the loss. They were actually expecting a 24-cent loss per share. SpaceX only did 9 cents. That was according to Benzinga Pro. SpaceX shares were down 1% in the pre-market. Looks like they've marched a little bit lower since then. The next stock on our list is going to be SanDisk. The ticker is SNDK, and it is expected to report revenue of $8.93 billion and earnings per share of $34.45 in the fiscal fourth quarter. That's according to Benzinga Pro. SanDisk shares were down 0.83% in Wednesday's pre-market trade. SanDisk reports after the bell. The next stock on our list is going to be Eli Lilly, ticker LLY. Shares were up 3.08% in Wednesday's pre-market trade. The company is expected to report revenue of $20.73 billion and earnings per share of $6.01 before the opening bell, according to Benzinga Pro. Datadog rounds out our list of watches today. The ticker is DDOG. Shares were up 1.28% in Wednesday's pre-market session, and the company is expected to report revenue of $1.08 billion and earnings per share of 58 cents before the opening bell, according to Benzinga Pro. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart and the beautiful breakout that is the SPY right now. So yesterday, I think a Lion here said it earlier, something about yesterday was easy money or something like that. Yeah, yesterday was an all-you-can-eat buffet. It was easy money. And I'll tell you what, when you get a breakout past all-time highs like this, yeah, that's exactly what it's like here. SPY, we are just in full-on breakout mode. Now, what I would really like to see here, the price that we actually broke out from most recently is 760.28. That was a previous all-time high. We had actually used that to draw a trend line through some of the more recent highs for another possible breakout target. So we're above that 760.28. What I would really like to see, like an ideal world, and I don't think we're going to get this because the market is just bonkers, but in an ideal world, what I would love is 3 closes above this level. Better still would be a pullback towards 760.25 and then hold it. If we can get that, maybe trade sideways for a couple of days above this level, to me, that just signals that the market is looking for that higher area. And it's trying to consolidate here above that breakout. Obviously, to the downside, we would watch for kind of a major reversal. We've seen that plenty of times in both directions. The market's been up one day, and then the very next day, it's been down the same amount or more. We want to see if we can avoid that here on this breakout. Otherwise, that might signal kind of like a false breakout. And we still have plenty of more earnings to go. Remember, it culminates with NVIDIA at the end of the month here. So blue sky breakout, great stuff here. What a reversal. I mean, how much have things changed since last Wednesday where we closed on the lows and it looked totally bearish and oh my gosh, maybe we'll roll over to the 200-day. Yeah, bear trap. Next 4 days in a row, just power candles to the upside. We'll see what we get here today. And we're actually being helped by some earnings here this morning like Shopify and Lilly. So, all right, let's take a look at some insights from the analysts, see what they think as we get you ready here for the trading session. Analysts at Schwab Center for Financial Research said in a note on Wednesday that the S&P 500's rebound above its 50-day moving average after briefly slipping below it last week is a constructive technical signal and maybe fueling short covering that's adding momentum to the rally. Really quickly, if that's true, we ain't done yet, folks. The index had traded close to its 50-day moving average for much of June and July and is now sitting farther above that level than at any point since early June, according to the firm. A tightening services sector could reignite wage pressures, putting Friday's payroll report in sharp focus. Kevin Gordon, head of macro research and strategy at the SCFR, said any evidence of labor market tightness could reinforce market concerns about the Federal Reserve's inflation fighting capability or credibility. We'll see what we end up getting. That is probably the big print of the week. But frankly, until then, bring on these earnings because we still have a huge slate of that. In fact, let's take a look at the calendar here. Here's what we're looking at for earnings here today. We are going to have what looks like Axon, eBay today, and this is after hours here. There's a couple more. I actually can't see it. Lilly reported here this morning already as well. So plenty of other earnings for us to watch here and for that to actually move the market. Now, taking a look at the economic data as we approach Wednesday's open here. We do get July's ADP National Employment Report. That'll be out by 8:15. We get July's U.S. Services PMI. That'll be released at 9:45. July's ISM PMI will be available at 10. And we have Lisa Cook speaking at 4:05 Eastern today. So we'll see if that moves anything. I tend to think it's going to be an earnings story yet again here today. All right. Let's go through some of the news and brace yourselves, folks, for this first story here. I got ripped on the other day for using Grok instead of Claude, and it appears that I got the last laugh here this morning, at least for now. Anthropic's AI chatbot Claude experienced an outage on Wednesday. Nobody knew what to do. Users were reporting difficulties accessing the service as reports of disruptions surged on social media. Down Detector, a website that tracks online service outages by collecting user-submitted reports, showed a sharp spike in user reports indicating widespread issues affecting Claude users. The outage appeared to impact multiple versions of Anthropic's latest Claude models, and Anthropic did not immediately respond to Benzinga's request for an update. However, in an update posted on its status page, Anthropic said it had identified the cause of the issue and was working to restore service. Quote, "We have identified the cause of elevated errors on request to Claude Mythos 5, Claude Fable 5, Claude Opus 5, Claude Sonnet 5, and are working on a fix. We will provide an update as soon as possible," end quote. And again, that was from Anthropic. In a second update, the company added, quote, "We are continuing to work on a fix for this issue," end quote. Anthropic did not provide an estimated timeline for resolving the issue or disclose what caused the elevated error rates. We tried asking Claude if it was down and to check the status, and we received an error message that said, "This response didn't load." Now, since then, it appears that Claude is back up. For those of you that use Claude, let me know if it's working, if it's working well enough, if all services are restored. But just felt that was odd, just really odd timing that I was some sort of heathen for not using Claude for my project. And then very soon after, Claude is down. So hopefully it's back up. Otherwise, we might be on deck for unprecedented unproductivity today from our workforce as they're all used to it. Okay, all jokes aside here, let's get to the SpaceX report because this was the biggest one of the of the day, and it actually did cause some other space stocks to trade down. Rocket Lab was down, ASTS was down. Velo actually held in there pretty good, but a lot of the other space stocks were down on this. SpaceX is the leader in this. I don't think I'm breaking any news there, but in any case, this is kind of what drives the boat there. SpaceX generated $7.8 billion in second quarter revenue, representing a 92% increase from the prior year period and surpassing Wall Street's $6.93 billion estimate. The company posted a loss of 9 cents per share, narrower than the analysts' expected loss of 24 cents per share. SpaceX ended the quarter with $100 billion in cash and cash equivalents, while its total backlog stood at $47.5 billion. SpaceX is targeting a human moon landing in 2028, but one Wall Street analyst says investors remain skeptical of the timelines. Say it ain't so. On Tuesday, SpaceX reported its first quarterly results as a public company, as we've covered, but during the call, CEO Elon Musk said SpaceX must first make Starship super reliable for satellite launches before it carries people. That makes sense. He added that the company expects a high launch cadence to help it reach the safety level required for human spaceflight, potentially by the end of 2027. President and Chief Operating Officer Gwynne Shotwell said in-orbit propellant transfer remains critical to both SpaceX's internal operations and its human landing system ambitions. She said SpaceX plans to follow its Artemis 3 mission with an uncrewed lunar cargo mission and aims to put boots on the moon in 2028. Deepwater Asset Management's managing partner Gene Munster took to X and said the 2028 target broadly aligns with previous expectations, but argued that investors have not fully priced in the possibility. Quote, Gwynne says boots on the moon in 2028, end quote. Munster wrote that on X, going on to say, my take, in line with roughly what has been talked about before, and the market doesn't believe it, end quote. Munster assigned a 70% probability to a 2028 landing and said he sees a 95% chance that SpaceX reaches the milestone by 2029. He added that the prospect of a lunar landing could provide ongoing support for SpaceX shares, calling the moon the carrot that could give the stock a, quote, perpetual bid, end quote. Musk said in February that SpaceX had shifted its near-term focus to building a self-sustaining city on the moon, estimating that such a project could be completed in less than a decade. He contrasted that with Mars, which he said could take 20 years or longer. The comments followed a Wall Street Journal report that SpaceX had told investors it planned to prioritize lunar missions over its long-standing Mars ambitions. The company is also reportedly targeting an uncrewed moon landing as early as March 2027. Happy birthday to me if that happens. In May, Musk backed NASA's plans to establish a lunar base as the agency prepares to return astronauts to the moon through its Artemis program. NASA said the base would serve as a habitat where astronauts can live and work during long-term scientific missions. I mean, you know, we're at the point now where these SpaceX earnings calls are literally like an H.G. Wells novel. Like they're talking about stuff that just a handful of years ago might have been, you know what, that's a little ambitious. But here we are, we're doing it. Space is indeed the final frontier. Just looking ahead at some other stuff from the SpaceX report, Elon Musk on Tuesday said that SpaceX's in-house forecast for hitting $1 trillion in annual revenue has actually been pulled forward to 2030 from 2031. That new timetable lands as second quarter revenue of $7.8 billion, which was up 92% year over year, pointing to a faster growth curve than many investors expected. Quote, it's probably also worth mentioning that our internal projections for reaching $1 trillion in revenue, not ARR, but revenue, have moved up from 2031 to 2030, end quote. Musk said that during the call. The SpaceX CEO didn't stop there. He also said that the milestone could also be reached earlier, saying, quote, there's a non-zero chance of that being 2029, end quote. The latest quarter offered a snapshot of the scale Musk is pointing to, with revenue topping a $6.93 billion street consensus estimate tracked by Pro. SpaceX also posted a loss of 9 cents per share, which was much narrower than the 24-cent loss that analysts had already penciled in. Management tied the quarter's momentum to operational throughput, citing 78 launches so far this year and Starlink coverage spanning 167 countries. SpaceX also said Starlink's subscriber base doubled from a year earlier to 12 million. SpaceX pointed to contracted sales of $14.1 billion in cloud service agreements. The company also highlighted 2 successful Starship V3 test flights over the past 90 days. Investor confidence in SpaceX remains strong, as evidenced by Ron Barron's prediction that SpaceX could become the world's largest company, potentially reaching a valuation between 20 and 40 trillion. However, the road to 1 trillion is not without challenges. SpaceX's stock has experienced volatility, declining over 50% from its post-IPO high. So we're not out of the woods yet, but boy, the future sure seems bright. Now, more stuff from SpaceX. Again, this was the biggest thing yesterday. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk said Tuesday that people are underestimating Starlink's long-term potential and believes the satellite internet network could eventually deliver a majority of the world's internet traffic in less than a decade. By the way, some of the wireless carrier stocks, those are down today. T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, all under pressure as soon as Musk said this yesterday. Musk said Starlink's growth potential remains widely overlooked despite its rapid expansion, describing the satellite network as one of SpaceX's biggest long-term opportunities. Quote, "I think people are really underestimating Starlink here. This is a big deal," end quote. Musk said during the company's first public earnings call since its IPO in June, and that was just a handful of Musk's comments. Starlink's opportunity extends far beyond its current subscriber base. Musk said, adding that the business has the potential to become a foundational piece of global internet infrastructure rather than just a satellite broadband provider. And y'all know some of the stuff that I've dealt with here. If I could get even close to comparable speeds as Comcast, I would drop it like third period French. I can't stand Comcast. And if this company can actually put out speeds and become this backbone, I think there is a pretty good chance that that is the case. But again, we'll see. Maybe it's just the bleeding edge, as they say. He said it was, quote, "not out of the question," end quote, that Starlink would eventually deliver a majority of the world's internet traffic in markets where it's permitted to operate, calling the prospect achievable in, quote, "less than 10 years," end quote. President and COO Gwynne Shotwell told analysts that on the call that SpaceX's next generation Starlink mobile network could be 100 times faster than its current service, supported by new EchoStar spectrum and upgraded satellites. Can't wait to see what the story trading guys think of EchoStar now. The company also expects AI, humanoid robots, and autonomous vehicles to drive a sharp increase in demand for network bandwidth, while next-generation Starlink V3 satellites are expected to deliver roughly 10 times the communications capacity of the current generation. Management expects it to reach $100 billion in annualized revenue run rate by the end of 2026 and forecasts $1 trillion in annual revenue by 2030, a year earlier than the previous forecast, with a non-zero chance of that milestone occurring in 2029. Oh boy, buckle up. This is going to be a fun ride, that is for sure. All right, before we get to Tim, we got to cover AMD. AMD reported second quarter revenue of $11.54 billion. This beat the analyst consensus estimate of $11.28 billion. The chipmaker reported adjusted earnings of $166 per share for the quarter. That beat the consensus estimate of $161 per share, according to Benzinga Pro. Total revenue increased 50% on a year-over-year basis. Here's a breakdown of the revenue by segment, as we do every quarter. Data center came in at $6.7 billion. That's up 107% year over year. Client and gaming came in at $3.8 billion. That's up 6%. Embedded just shy of $1 billion at $977 million, still up 19% year over year. AMD reported $2 billion of second quarter operating income and ended the period with approximately $5.09 billion in cash and cash equivalents and $8.03 billion in short-term investments. Quote, "We delivered an excellent quarter with record revenue and profitability as data center revenue more than doubled year over year," end quote. That came from Lisa Su, chair and CEO of AMD. She went on to say, "We enter the second half with strong momentum as EPYC demand accelerates, Instinct deployments scale, and Helios begins to ramp. More broadly, AI is driving significant expansion in our demand for compute across all of our markets, end quote. AMD expects third quarter revenue of approximately $13 billion plus or minus $300 million. That's versus an estimate of $12.52 billion. Third quarter adjusted gross margin is expected to be approximately 56%, which is in line with the second quarter. Now, just to kind of finish up here with AMD, on Tuesday, those shares actually fell sharply in after-hours trading, despite the beat that we just talked about. Analysts said investors had been looking for more of a dramatic AI-driven outlook tied to the company's Helios platform. So right away, I would kick this down the road here a little bit. Helios is going to be something that folks are looking for out of their next earnings report. My takeaway from the AMD earnings report this time is this is no longer a gaming story. We had talked before about NVIDIA really kind of being the king of AI and all of this. AMD, while they haven't closed that gap completely, AMD represents a significant part of compute. They are absolutely a huge pillar of the AI trade, and gaming now, which has really kind of carried AMD, that is a secondary, almost an afterthought at this point. That's at least my takeaway from this report so far. We'll see how it continues to shape up. Futurum Group CEO Daniel Newman said AMD's results were solid, but the market had been expecting a stronger forecast driven by Helios, the company's upcoming rack-scale AI platform. Quote, AMD earnings were good, end quote. Okay. Newman wrote that on X and went on to say market wanted a blowout guide driven by Helios, end quote. He added that AMD has historically taken a conservative approach, even when it has visibility into future growth. Patrick Moorhead, founder and chief analyst at More Insights and Strategy, cautioned investors against drawing conclusions before reviewing AMD's full earnings call and question and answer session. Big time shout out to Pro. You can actually get that transcript, transcribe it, and have AI help you with it. Just saying. Moorhead noted that AMD's data center business doubled year over year during the second quarter, while Helios had not yet begun contributing meaningfully. He said Helios shipments are starting now, with volumes expected to ramp in the fourth quarter. AMD spent $808 million on capital expenditures during the quarter. That was up from $282 million a year earlier and $389 million in the first quarter. Futurum Equity's chief market strategist, Shea Ballur, said the spending supports AMD's expanding AI ambitions, including its EPYC server processors and the Helios system. Quote, AMD delivered a strong quarter into an almost perfect bar, but the market fixated on CapEx, more than doubling from $389 million to $808 million, end quote. Yeah, you think? Ballur said the higher investment could weigh on near-term sentiment, but may be necessary for AMD to build enough capacity to pursue the rapid growth it expects in that server market. So we'll see what AMD does here. I know that there were a lot of lofty price targets on it. I don't think those are out of the question. I think the AI trade is back. I think we've pulled back on some of these, and that actually kind of reset the valuation somewhat. I am not ready to say that these all need to become crashing down. And despite what several folks in our happy hour think about perhaps the top being in for the year on some of these names, I'm not too sure. I am not very confident in saying that. All right, folks, it is Wednesday, which means it's one of your favorite days because one of your favorite people is here to give his thoughts and insights, tips, tricks, and all of the other goodies that he brings us. Let's bring on Tim Melvin and see how he's doing. Tim, good morning. Happy Wednesday. How you doing?
Hey, guys. How is everybody this morning? Of course, we get the fun of the SpaceX call. And
yeah, you fired your cash bazooka at the puts, didn't you?
No.
I know.
We didn't do anything on SpaceX. But I will say this, look, you can love Elon Musk, you can hate Elon Musk, right? He is the greatest showman of our lifetime, right? There's nobody like this guy.
Well, he's launching rockets and then catching them. So I would say that tracks.
The technology, the stuff that he's done has been remarkable. You can take nothing away from this guy and the companies that he's built. The rocket capture alone, as Ryan points out, is like stunning. It's amazing. However, that doesn't mean he's not the world's greatest storyteller, right? Apparently on the call yesterday, his analyst, his answer would be like, well, we think that, we might make 100 million. And Elon would be like, no, it's $1 trillion. And every time they put a number out that the lawyers had vetted, Elon would go, no, it's bigger.
The talk about moving it up from 2031 to 2030, that's news breaking enough. To then go on to say there's a non-zero chance that this actually happens in 2029, that is the type of stuff that's just going to jazz investors. They want to see that yesterday. They don't want to wait till 2029. They want that now.
Well, here's the thing. If let's say they get there, here's the big question. This is the one that's overhanging AMD and Micron and NVIDIA and everybody else. Revenue's beautiful. Everybody loves the dollars in the door, right? But if they keep spending $18 billion a quarter on CapEx that so far has earned nothing, it's going to get problematic for all of this to turn down into profits at some point. And
you want a stat, Tim? I got a stat. When I was going over SpaceX yesterday with the happy hour group, I pulled this stat from the report. It was notable, so I wrote it down in my notes. SpaceX is spending 6 times. We don't have that on vibrate. They don't know what time it is.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyway, SpaceX is spending 6 times their quarterly AI revenue in CapEx.
Yeah.
So all that money that they're making, and by the way, they get my money. I pay for X Pro and Grok. That's SpaceX AI. All of the money they're getting, they're spending 6 times that.
Yes, and somebody on the chat this morning, I'm not sure, I think it was Jaco, said, I have to take a drink every time that somebody says game changer or epic. And dude, I'm just, start looking up rehabs now. You're going to be there real quick in this current market environment. Reminds me of 1999, where if you'd done that, every time somebody said eyeball or clicks, you'd taken a drink, you may have died. So kind of in that same environment.
So I've got you beat. I've got you beat here. Years ago, when the whole transitory stuff was being thrown around by the Fed,
yes.
I had a rare Thursday off from the other job that I was working. And me and my buddy, who were both trading at the time, were like, okay, we've got some time off. It's been kind of a slow week. We're doing a drinking game. We're doing a drink every time you heard transitory. Tim, I didn't make dinner. I had to take a nap.
We did that with the Greenspan Fed once. We had a drinking game in the bar, and we had to discontinue that. It just didn't
That's good. Okay, 2 peas in a pod, Tim. This is great. This is absolutely great. What do you got for us?
This moves us into the first. I've got several cool reports for you guys today. I want to make sure I get to all of them. So I'm just going to gloss over them and tell you, Ryan's got the links, and you need to read these. One came from McKinsey and Company, okay? And this is one of the most important reports you're going to read this year. Let me just get to my notes on this.
Now, this one is the global balance sheet, right? So this one's a PDF. So you guys, this is going to be one. I got one link for you here today. We'll get to that in a sec. But we're going to need here. Let me open this in a new tab. See, this is we'll figure out how to share this here. But for the PDFs that Tim's talking about, you're going to have to email me for that one, and I'd be happy to take care of you guys on that. No problem at all.
This comes from McKinsey. It's the 2026 global balance sheet, and they talk about the titles imbalance and divergence. And there's some startling conclusions here that you need to be aware of in the big picture. Okay, if you're trading just right in front of you, 9 to 4, this doesn't impact you, but it's going to impact a lot of other areas of your life and the world we live in. And it also sets up a couple major risk factors. So I'm not going to hit everything because I've got a lot today. But the central conclusion of the paper is that we've never been wealthier on paper. The total value of the global balance sheet was 1.8 quadrillion as of the start of this year. And that's up quite a bit from the prior year. Now, 620 trillion of that is real assets. 620 trillion of that is financial assets held by the financial sector. And the rest of another 600 trillion or so is financial assets held by people. Here's where this all starts to go wrong a little bit. The balance sheet is growing at multiples of the economic growth rate. So the balance sheet is growing at somewhere between 4 and 5x of the rate of growth of the underlying economy. The other problem that we have is that when we look at this over the last 15 years or so, only 20% of the increase in global net worth, but this is magnified in the United States massively.
Mm-hmm.
Only 20% of the increase comes from net new investment in stuff: homes, buildings, infrastructure, machinery, equipment, data centers, intellectual property, anything. Everything else comes from asset appreciation above the inflation rate. Right? So we didn't make more stuff. We didn't, all we did was pay a higher price for the stuff that's already out there for most of the wealth gain.
So Tim, let me pause you right there, because Ed's actually bringing up a good point. Ed has been kind of on this in both the morning and the after hour show. He's been asking this over and over again. Where's the money coming from in the market? We keep printing these new highs. The market keeps going up. Where's the money coming from? And it sounds to me like what you're describing here is that it's not actually coming from anywhere. It's just being inflated. Is that right?
Well, part of it's printing. I mean, if you look at bank credits up 7%, right? And then you've got M2 money supply was up 7%. Remember, the Fed is not necessarily easing, but they're definitely not tightening. Right, interest rates are probably lower than they should be. If you take the inflation rate of 3% and the historical risk-free rate, you get about a 4.25. That's with a 3% inflation. We're being generous there. You get about a 4.25 Fed funds rate. So we're a little low. We lowered more than we should have last time around. They shouldn't have cut rates at all. But so that's all adding to some money printing. Then there's the issuance of corporate debt, which has been huge. Now that's worked because they have the cash flow for the most part for now, right? But you have massive government spending, most of which is debt financing. And you can track a lot of the question, where's the cash coming from, to exactly that. And it's not just the United States, it's everybody. And right now, point number 2 of the paper that you really need to consider is a lot of the money being printed and produced overseas is coming here. All right. And it's something absurd, like 1/3 of debt and equities are owned by foreign entities. Remember, we had a little bit move out in the aftermath. If you remember, Ryan, we talked about it on the show here last year, of some European money that recycled home after the tariffs. But you know what? It recycled right back in, because we've been the best house in the neighborhood for a while now. Now, what does this mean? This means that we are sort of building on the house of valuation cards. Now, does that mean that we run, or as EKS just said, sit in worthless cash, or what do we do? No, we have to rely on trend. We have to rely on credit. We have to rely on individual corporate valuation for our investment decisions, depending on our time frame and a whole bunch of other stuff. But you need to be aware that there is a huge bubble under the actual value of the assets. When you take this and you begin to look, I'm just looking for exactly where I pulled the number out of here. Okay, U.S. corporate equity, public issued equity, is now 3.7 times GDP. More importantly, it's 2.4 times the net value of the actual assets owned by the corporations. Okay, so a lot of what we've done here is just valuation expansion. It's not productive increases to the economy. And you can see that in the fact that between 2020 and 2025, the end of the year, 50% of the rise of the S&P 500 came from 7 companies. All artificial intelligence, everything else just kind of tracks sideways. So what you need to be aware of here in a very, very big way, and I'm going to wrap the bow on the SpaceX, the AMD, and the Micron reports, and this report, right? Everything right now is tied to the expansion of valuations in AI. The stuff that's doing well below the Mag 7 are the users of AI and the energy and the infrastructure of AI. If anything goes wrong in this story, you're going to get a massive revaluation. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you exactly when it's going to happen and tell you got to act right now to protect your portfolio by next Thursday morning at 7:53 a.m.? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to tell you that you want to keep your eye on credit spreads and you want to keep your eye on trend. And I'm not talking about daily trends. Like if you're trading even the 50 or even the 200-day moving average for your broad market indicator in the last year, yeah, I mean, you need to go to a chiropractor. You've been whipsawed around so very many times. However, if you move that out to the 20-week and the 50-week on a weekly chart, you start to get a better picture of real trend. And if you were just using the 50-week moving average, you never even thought about getting out of stocks this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Look to the left, Tim. It rears its head again. And in this case, you just take a little bit of we talked about this last night, right? That is
Yeah.
a perfect signal there of the trend. Okay. Good stuff.
Yes. So that's good stuff. Now I'm just watching my time here. Okay. Now here comes the cool one. Everybody ready? You guys have been waiting for this report. 345 pages. And I'm going to read every one of them to you right now. I'm not going to leave out a comma. No, kidding. Obviously, we're going to give you a quick recap. You want this paper, okay? You want to email Ryan and say, Ryan, please send me this paper.
That's very important, because if you don't say please, you will get no response.
Absolutely. You should probably offer to buy him some pizza.
I am known as Mr. Pizza around these parts. So
New York style, though. He didn't want any of that nasty Chicago type.
Okay,
style.
now you're pushing it. Now you're pushing it.
Okay. The International Energy Agency, the IEA, has released their global critical minerals report. Now, let me just get the objections. It's the same when I do an OPEC report. I understand these are not U.S. friendly people. I understand that they are very much fans of renewable energy to an excessive degree. I get all of that. But I read this for the same reason I read OPEC. They have a ton of data. They have information from all over the world, and they write reports about it, and we can use it. Okay. So they've released their report on global critical minerals, and they address the shortages, the financing problem, the problem with who controls rare earths. And this is an absolutely fascinating report. Now, for all the talk that we're doing about catching up, we're not. Okay, and it's not necessarily for lack of effort, but we are being outcompeted by China and by the African nations. The number of mineral categories covered by Chinese export controls has tripled. The major discoveries in cobalt in the last couple of years have all been in countries in Africa, most notably the Congo, where China has a much better relationship with them than we do. China continues to dominate the processing of most major minerals, with the exception of nickel, where Indonesia is actually the leader in nickel. So rare earths continue to be this huge problem. There could be another 6.5 trillion of total annual industrial production outside China at risk of moving back inside China. And they are being negatively affected by tariffs, the entire relationship of all this. So it's a fascinating report, and there's major investment opportunities here. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. When we look at this, right, demand for lithium is going to go up between now and just 2040, right, by 3.4x, 2x for graphite, 1.7 for nickel, 1.5 times for magnet rare earths, 1.3 times for copper, and 1.3 times for cobalt. So now coming down the supply deficits, under base case, everything goes pretty good. There's no major earthquakes that shut off all Latin American production, Australian production. There's no political upheaval. There's no floods that ruin mines. Reasonable case. Supply estimates are going to cover 75% of copper, 68% of lithium, 92% of nickel, 74% of cobalt, 96% of graphite, and 107% of magnet rare earths. Now, so big supply, but the real problem is in refining. There's not enough refiners. More importantly, there are not enough refiners outside the United States. I mean, outside China, inside the United States. So recycling can help. So we're going to talk about some about the recyclers because that's technically there's a few here that we can invest in. The revival of nuclear energy is creating some interesting situations in nuclear power. And then there's the Latin American question. This is why I remain kind of bullish on Latin America. 40% of global copper, 20% of global tin and zinc, 1/4 of global lithium come from Latin America. The lithium production should increase by nearly 50% by the end of the decade. They only refine about 20% of that. Most of it's going to China for refining. We need to fix that in a big way in the United States. However, they've got nickel, cobalt, graphite, and rare earths at, you don't want to use a word like unlimited, but they've got a lot, particularly in Brazil, Chile, and some other areas down there. We need to focus as a nation on eliminating the Chinese relationship down there and becoming the people that are buying all of this and helping with the mines and all that, which, makes me look at, because I'm me, at the Latin American banks like CAB and like NU, where there's going to be some real funding and cash flow opportunities. So, but now let's get into some stocks. So we're going to do some ticker stuff here. Okay.
Okay.
So
I'm going to go back to Pro. Is that okay?
What's that?
I'm going to go back to Pro.
No, we're going to throw tickers out.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to Pro so we can take a look at the chart. First one that we got asked
about. Sorry about that. Yes, that's a good idea.
It's okay. I'm locked in today. Corey's asking, does this mean that USAR is good? So I don't know if you're going to cover that one, but we literally just got that question. I'm ready for you whenever you're ready.
Well, I got to look at USAR. Which one is this? USA Rare Earth.
Yeah. This is one that moved with MP when we first had this kind of big mineral story and move at the end of 2025.
They did rare earth magnets. That one's pretty well covered. They've got some heavy rare earth elements. The question here is, all right, they have no revenue, right? They have $7 million in revenue and they're losing $430 million. So I would need a much deeper dive on who's running this thing, where the financing is coming from, what the mines are and what's in there. So I'm not going to answer the question on that one.
Okay. Needs more information. That's totally fine. We'd rather give honesty than some BS thing just to answer the question. So that works.
MP Materials, obviously the poster child for this here in the United States. They've got the Mountain Pass mine and they've got metal alloy and finished magnet manufacturing in Texas. They're going to 10X their campus sites with government incentives and some long U.S. Department of Defense has signed some long-term contracts with them. They're the gold star of the United States right now. Then we come to, this is an Australian company, the largest meaningful producer of separated rare earth minerals outside China. And it processes
What's the name?
Australian
What's the name and ticker? Give me something to pull it up.
Well, just hang on a second. Be patient. I got to tell the story here. My goodness. The ticker, this is an OTC one, LYSTY.
LYSTY.
The name is Linus Rare Earths.
Okay.
Do you have that one?
Yep.
Okay. This is a pretty clean story. It's an Australian company. It's good shape. They're, like I said, largest meaningful producer outside China. We have a pretty good relationship with our good friends in Australia. So that one's worth a look for a rare earth portfolio. Then the cleaners midstream is Neo Performance Materials, NOPMF. They own a rare earth separation plant in Estonia. They do magnetic powers, alloys, and they're doing a European permanent magnet facility. And they've added a separation line for a couple of other minerals that will be opening this year. So on that, there we go. There's not much there. And again, I'm only giving you the ones that I know trade a little bit. Okay. They are not heavily traded. They are ADRs that trade overseas. Now, here comes some of the fun ones, because as you know, I'm wildly bullish on Japan for a whole host of reasons that we do not have time to rehash again today. but there's a couple of Japanese companies here you want to pay attention to. SHECY, Ryan, is Shin-Etsu Chemicals.
Shin-Etsu Chemicals, okay.
Okay, and they do magnets, but they do everything from the rare earth separation to the casting and the recycling of magnets. So huge player in that market. Hang on one second. And please, you really want this report. I cannot stress that. Because
look, I've already got double-digit requests, and I'm already filling out the email. So
okay.
you've put me to plenty of work here today, Tim.
Good. I mean, I heard you had a free like 3 minutes. I had to fill those up for you.
My man.
TDK out of Tokyo, a diversified electronics materials company. They're doing magnets, ferrites, sensors, and passive components. It's not a pure play, but they're big. And so it's TTDKY.
Got it.
Okay, and the uranium conversion and fuel fabrication, we're just going to touch these because we've talked about them all so many times. LEU, CCO, BWXT.
Got it. LEU. That's a blast from the past. That was a huge one. We haven't talked about that in some time. What were the others really quick?
CCJ,
Cameco.
And
Okay.
BWXT, which is BWX Technologies.
Gotcha.
So now, in the smelters and refiners and metallurgical companies, and these could be the biggest winners. All right. Unfortunately, and this is where we have the problem, right? None of these are American companies. This needs to change. Out of Stockholm, we have our friends Boliden. They do mines and smelters across Northern Europe. And they're also one of the, and this is important, one of the world's largest metal recyclers, pulling metal and rare earths from electronic material, and they recover copper, gold, silver, and other byproduct metals. So that's potentially a big one. And then Umicore out of Brussels is a major recycler and refiner of precious metals, cobalt, nickel, and battery materials. And they also do battery recycling to recover lithium, nickel, copper, cobalt, and cobalt.
Do we have a ticker for that one?
I do. Of course I have. UMICY. I'm sorry.
UMICY.
Yes, and the other one was BDNNY.
Yeah. You see what Tim does? He's very, very clever about that. I ask him for the ticker. He says, yeah, of course. It's your fault you don't know it, and then gives it to me.
Yeah. I can't believe you did this. Right. All the time. Just constant with you.
I love it. I love it, Tim.
So anyway, that's all we've got the time for here today. Read the report and just sit there. It does talk about some companies, and you can use AI to produce a larger list of companies. This is, if for those of us old enough to remember the movie The Graduate, where the drunk guy pulls Dustin Hoffman aside and says, I got one word for you about the future, son. Plastics. Now, this was in 1968, so he was indeed correct. Plastics proceeded to make fortunes for a whole bunch of people. This is the infrastructure. This is the nuts and bolts and guts of everything that we believe is going to happen in the future. Robotics, quantum, AI, none of this happens without the rare earths. Okay, so these companies have the potential for massive gains. So anyway, real quick, because again, we don't want, 13 hasn't bought me lunch in forever. So why do I care if I trot on his dime?
So first of all, 13's schedule has changed, and 13 is not joining us here in 6 minutes. We actually have another guest, Adam Mesh, will be joining us here in a few. But you still have got some time, Tim. You want to talk about the Orioles trade deadline moves, or?
But they threw in the towel again. Sorry. I mean, it's over. It's I'm tempted to root for the Dodgers just because.
Okay, well, they have just dropped 2 to the Cubs, so.
Well, that's true. And I'm always tempted to root. Years and years and years ago, I wrote a piece about baseball. It was like in 2012. And I said, everybody's got to root for 2 teams because no matter who you are or where you are, at some point, you got to cheer a little bit for the Chicago Cubs. So
not gonna dispute that.
I could get behind the Cubs, and I get Braves locally. So I watch a lot of Braves baseball for the rest of it because the Orioles are thrown in the towel, and it's kind of sad. But anyway, so yesterday I'm reading through 13F filings. They've begun to kind of trickle in as money managers that don't want to play the hype game. They just send the study in, get it out of the way. It's usually a bunch of money managers nobody's ever heard of. So that's why I go. See, now whoever this guy is, CELDDK, is brilliant because I'm getting ready to talk about REITs.
It's actually her, and her name is Selena, and she is
Selena,
quite right.
We are getting ready to talk about REITs. So I noticed that the Alaska Permanent Fund released theirs, and they own some oil companies, some other stuff, but then they had a bunch of external manager positions in real estate, and I mean it was dominant through the portfolio. So the Alaskan Permanent Fund has a big REIT position. So I'm like, all right, well, external manager, who is it? Is it one of the known ones, the Clarions? Who's one? Nope. It's a firm that I have to say that I don't think I'd ever run across before, and it's AEW. Now, AEW, Ryan, I think I sent you the link to their site.
You did, and I will bring that up right here. I actually was just adding that to the email. Here's AEW.
Okay, these guys are pretty cool. They are real estate investors of the Ben Graham variety, okay? And they don't just do REITs. They do buildings. They do real, portfolios of real assets. They do real estate debt. And they do a bottoms-up job on all of this, even in REITs, which is important. Okay, firm's been around since 1981. So they've seen a couple of real estate cycles, right? They saw some of the mess of the 80s and the aftermath of the S&L crisis and the great financial crisis, and they're still standing. So they're involved across the spectrum in the real estate markets, but they are really big in REITs. And they come from the bottom up. They're not just looking at, well, what was the funds from operations last month? Oh, that's good. Let's buy that in the dividend. No, and that's a really silly way to do it anyway, which is why that's how most of Wall Street does it. But they come in and they start with the underlying value of the real estate. That sounds like this Melvin guy I talk to all the time. The market conditions, what are the cash flow? What's the dividend? What's the debt structure look like? What's the balance sheet? Who's running this thing? I mean, are there morons in charge? Which is the case more than we all want to admit. What cities are they in? Where are they? What businesses are they serving? What kind of liquidity is available in the markets? What's the cash flow been? Has it been fairly stable? And they start with that, and they begin buying real estate and REITs based on that. So, and the true test of how smart they are is I went back through and I looked at their largest positions in most recent buys, and your portfolios look a lot alike. That's all I'm going to say. Now, so let's do that. Let's give you some of these, and it's AEW, and they do file a regular 13F, so they're worth paying attention to. Now, they were big buyers of BXDC, which is the Blackstone blind pool. Okay. Keep an eye on this. I'm not necessarily going to tell you to run out and buy it because it's a blind pool. It's just cash. If they screw up, this is not going to be good. If they do a great job, Blackstone does tend to do a great job, then this is going to be pretty good. But don't rush. There's no rush on this one, okay? But then they bought B&L, which is a net lease real estate operator, throwing off a nice dividend, over 5%, great track record of dividend growth. Broadstone, it's been around for a while, and net lease properties are the ones that you see. They're Walmarts, they're 7-Elevens, they're Walgreens, they're CVS's, they're Starbucks. They're real estate where the tenant is paying all the expenses, taxes, maintenance, and insurance. And there's all sorts of varieties of them. This is a fairly broad one with Broadstone. But the interesting thing here is we have seen some consolidation and private equity buying in the space. So worth noting. Vici Properties, talked about this one before.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite gambling REIT, VICI, a dividend growth machine. BRX, which is Brixmor Property Group, is also one of their bigger REITs. But by the way, this is the June, right? They had just filed, which is why I'm bringing this up. They just kind of quietly filed for the end of June. And Brixmor is, they do grocery anchored community and neighborhood shopping centers, which is one of the strongest and most solid pieces of real estate. It's up to 3.76% dividend. when you think about the grocery anchored store, right? They're not really, they're kind of internet resistant, right? Because they're dry cleaners, they're drugstores, they're the grocery store. There's stuff that they're the Chinese place where you pick up take up on your way home from work every Friday night. They're just not things that are going to be replaced or threatened by the internet or anything else. So they tend to be really solid little corner of the real estate market. And then one that I absolutely love, HIW, is Highwood Properties. This is a fantastic real estate investment trust. Just pulling the fundamentals up. It has had a pretty good run this year. You may want to wait to be a buyer. It's still a 6% dividend at this price. They do rental office properties or I can hear it, right? Office. Oh, nobody's ever going to the office again. Kurt Russell with the eye patch. It's going to be terrible. Except their buildings are in Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville, Orlando, Raleigh, Richmond, and Tampa. The places where everybody's moving and companies are moving, and they're not plagued with some of the issues of New York and Chicago and San Francisco and some other places when it comes to the office market. And they tend to be the better buildings, the Class A buildings. They have solid occupancy rates, they have really solid balance sheet. I can tell you that, in Orlando, in Tampa, when I lived in Florida, they just kind of, did one of those numbers to the go back to work restrictions. People were going to work. And I think that was also true in Charlotte, Nashville, and some of these other cities. So Sunbelt office, great markets to be in. I'm a big fan of that REIT. I would be a buyer of it on pullbacks. Now, to answer the broader question on REITs before I jump out of here, REITs have had a almost 4-year pullback, and we're starting to rally up off the bottom. And if you can get them below net asset value with reasonable balance sheets, with a great history of dividend growth, I think you're a buyer on any pullback in here because the typical recovery is 7 to 10 years.
Okay. So longer term time horizon, buy on dips. That's what I took away from all that.
Look, REITs since 1972 have outperformed the S&P 500. Okay. REITs have been one of the most productive asset classes. And if I can be the landlord of everybody that's trying to be the next big thing, I'm probably going to do better with that business than trying to figure out which one of the 100 competitors actually is the next big thing. Real estate should be part of your long-term portfolio. The total return potential from here is amazing. I apologize to Mr. Mesh. See, now you throw this question out, I'm just going to tell you
this one has
owned REITs and tons of real estate. And by the way,
sorry, I spoke over you. What's the answer here?
The answer is Warren has owned REITs during his career in his personal portfolio. There's none big enough to have ever been a Berkshire Hathaway purchase candidate. And there's also some tax restrictions, so he would have had some tax issues. However, Munger made his initial stake in life in real estate and was in the real estate business right up till the day he died. And Buffett's companies own a ton of real estate. So real estate's been good to Warren. So read the history book.
And it's going to be good to us. It's going to be good to us too. Tim, thanks very much for everything.
Apologies to Adam for taking a few minutes. Take it from the next guy. It's okay. I said so.
The next guy's 13. All right, perfect.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Tim, really good stuff. We'll catch you next week. That was awesome. And by the way, I did email those things out there, so you should be all set. Adam, whenever you're ready, there we go. Let's go ahead, and you know what? We're gonna play the banner for him. Let's bring on Adam. Adam, welcome back to the show. How you doing, my man?
All right, except my normal camera wasn't working, so I had to go with the backup. So
hey, at least you have a backup. At least you're not just putting all your eggs in one basket. Sorry about starting a little bit late here, but that's all right. So how you doing here today?
I'm doing well. I can't believe where the market is. I can't believe the rally we've had over the last couple of days. It's been unbelievable.
All right, so let's start right there. That's perfect. One of the things that I was saying earlier, like right when I started the show, I remember Wednesday from last week. I know it feels like a long time ago, but I remember Wednesday from last week. A lot of fear out there. A lot of, oh my gosh, we're closing on the lows. We might roll over here, 200-day. Market's coming back in. CapEx, they're spending more money than we have. Oh my God, oh my God. And what a bear trap that ended up being. Just straight up 4 consecutive days. How are you trading this?
Just kind of holding on to what I got. It's a lot harder to buy as it just keeps shooting straight up.
Yep.
So really just staying in some of the positions that I had before. I've actually been happy with how I've been trading. It goes back to the Fed announcement last Wednesday. The market sold off. The Qs hit 660. Okay. And that was where that forced selling with the hedge fund that we didn't know what was happening. Situational awareness, and the guy had to dump stocks.
Leopold Aschenbrenner.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way I was going to try for that name.
We will not deny him his name.
situational awareness, and everything looked bad. And I came in, I was trading really well that day. My positions were going down, but I was buying puts in the Qs all through the close to offset my losses. So I was really happy with the way I was like trading it.
Mm-hmm.
And I came in on Thursday, and one of the stocks that I have a position in, stock and options, is APLD. And APLD, I've been in, the first time I bought it was 4. When I really started paying attention to it, it was like 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
They got to as high as 48. Anyhow, it had recently come down all the way to 23 on that Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But it was earnings a couple days before. It was trading at 28.50 post earnings. Point is, I had the 27 calls that I had been buying, and that's what was really beating me up on Wednesday. But I was offsetting with the Qs. So I came in with 100 of the 27 calls of APLD expiring that Friday, and the stock had closed at 23.80, and they were worth 7 cents. And so when it opened and it was trading at 26, still below the 27 strike, the calls were worth between 60 and 70 cents. So I was like, great. I just made $6-7 grand that I thought was gone. They expire tomorrow. So I started selling, and they would have been worth $30,000 if I held them one more day. And it's still gone up after that. And that's just an example of the extreme kind of moves that we saw. But I have the stock. I held the stock. I'm in a bunch of my stuff kind of just rallied back. I didn't think it would keep going, but it did. And it does make buying harder up here, right?
Yeah, no question. No question, especially if you're trying to swing. Now, are you looking at any like day trade setups or anything for today, whether it's some of the smaller junkers that we talk about or even just kind of bigger, more let's call them more popular stocks? So
what I've been doing, what I find a little bit easier to trade in this environment is like post earnings events. So SoFi was one where it had earnings and it really held strong even on that Wednesday. And since then, it's made a really nice up move. So it was in the 15s and it got to 18 and change. So that was a really nice stock to trade post earnings. And then I'm interested to see what Snap does. They finally went up on earnings and actually stayed up, which they haven't done in a long time.
Right.
And it's just like at a certain point, like, does this become a real stock? And is there one powerful move where all of a sudden you're looking and Snap's $11 again? I don't know. But I did buy some calls. I bought the September 18th 6 calls for 38 cents. And I'm like, okay, if this could have a follow-up move, a post-earnings follow-up move, one more leg up, it gets to 6 and change, those options, I'll probably make, 50% or more on my money.
To me, it looks like Snap here, 580 is really going to be the key. If we snap that 580 here today, we'll see where we end up going. 580, I've got 630 after that and probably maybe 738 on the way up. So number of different levels here on Snap. The craziest thing with Snap, I think I'm just officially a boomer now because I didn't even know people use Snapchat. I couldn't believe the growth numbers when I opened up the report. I was like, what is this? Now, as far as, is this stock going to be a real stock? That's a good question. I don't know that it's ever really been a real stock. See if it turns into something.
I don't use Snap either, but my kids, it's the only way they communicate
still
with their friends, and they're in high school. So if there's group chats or plans being made, it's all through Snap. And they also, using Snap, look to see where everybody is. Like
Interesting.
there's like a map of your friends, and so you know where everybody is, and you can look on the map. And so,
what crazy times we live in. I would have never done something like that when I was younger. That's wild. That's wild. Okay. Anything else you want to talk? What do you have coming up on the drift? How's that going?
Oh, it's been great, and it's really all because of you. You have such a great show and such a great audience, and so when I had the opportunity to connect with Benzinga, I knew only of it because of my experiences being on with you, and I was like, those people are amazing. And so, the audience. We started, the first episode was like 100 people, then it went to 300. Now it's over 500, and that's at 3 episodes in. So it's fun to see that growing, and my mom and sister enjoy watching it, so that makes me proud.
That's really awesome. That actually sounds like SpaceX level growth there. It looks like you're almost doubling it every show there. That's awesome. Do you have anything that you want to preview that you're going to be looking at today?
So one thing Tom did was he was talking about SpaceX when it was like 150, 160, and he was like, the 90 puts are free money, and he was selling them for $1.50, and they went to 4 and change. But I think he's going to be in a better position now, because even after earnings are out, it's down a lot, but it's still trading at 111. So it's come back up nicely away from that 100 level. So I think we'll definitely talk about SpaceX. But the thing that I'm really going to talk about that's on my mind, that I've been thinking about lately, is are we missing opportunities for life-changing wealth in stocks because so much of what's happening happens in the private markets first, like SpaceX, OpenAI, Anthropic. Like, these stocks are like it used to be, like you had these baby stocks out of the oven, like these, like they're not fully cooked, and they come out and we get to develop them. But now they're coming out and they've already been cooked, and if not overcooked, and what are we even getting? So to go after that life-changing wealth, I guess it's recognizing the current stocks that use cases will change, like what happened with Oracle and Intel and Micron this year. So how do we find those stocks, I guess, that are already in play, that their use case is going to change the same way it did with these stocks?
I think that's a great idea. And also I completely agree that some of our most transformative companies that have these huge strides do a lot of that movement in the private market, and as a result, they come to market here, like SpaceX, with $135 price. I got a buddy down in Florida that runs a fund, and he has been a very, very early investor in SpaceX. All right. And I asked him after the earnings yesterday, I said, I'm a little bit worried about the lockup expiry that's coming here on Thursday. This is what he said to me. He said, it's only 20%. And I can tell you that my clients own it from $4 and most aren't selling. So we've talked a lot about the lockup coming and all of that. And I'm, hearing from somebody who's been a part of that private equity where these companies are private, their cost basis is $4. If my cost basis was $4, I wouldn't be selling on this lockup either, with it coming back in from $2.20.
Yeah,
no way. I'd be holding the money.
That. Or you could just sell calls against it.
Yeah, I would do something else, right? I would just sell upside calls against it and not sell my stock for whatever price it is here. I'm very curious to see how this trades tomorrow.
It's also interesting. I was speaking to someone else who got shares, and I thought that if you were given shares and you were restricted from when you could sell them, that you couldn't do anything against it. But this person told me that, no, you get them in one account. You could get short in another account. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I figured if you have the shares and you can't sell them to a certain date, but I would imagine you could sell options against them. I don't know.
No, he sold stock. He just got short the stock and was out of it. So he's long. So now he got short in one account. He's waiting to get the stock in the other account, and I assume when he gets it, they'll just cancel out. And I wonder.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I had never heard that before, so probably should have researched it more before I brought it up here. But
well, I was going to say, like, I would want, if I was going to do that, I would want to be sure what's going to happen. Like, I wouldn't do that without knowing.
But it makes you think like that lockup expiring won't be, like you said, a big deal.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as 13 is pointing out here, 991 million shares unlocked tomorrow. That is a big number. And sure, I expect some of those people to sell. But from my poking around here in these private markets that you were talking about that I don't participate in yet, just FYI, it doesn't seem like there's going to be a whole lot of liquidation. Now, we'll see. Maybe that's just kind of a rose-colored view of things. We'll see what actually plays out tomorrow. But I'm very curious. Also, as far as SpaceX goes, I'm waiting for under 100 to add this long term. And I think I'm going to get that price at some point. So to hear
you got 106, right?
Yeah, but I'm looking for like 80, 90, not 106.
Okay. It's always interesting, like if it gets down to like right above what your number is.
Yep.
And then you watch it, like, so then do you sell a put there?
That's a good, I probably wouldn't. If I'm being honest, if it came to, let's say my first number is 90. Let's say the stock came into 92 and it just won't get to 90. When that thing trades back up to 95, if it looks constructive, I'm probably chasing a little bit just to make sure I get some exposure, just to make sure I get some there, slightly above my price. Zach McCracken here thinks 60 to 80 on SpaceX is what he's waiting for.
60 to 80.
60 to 80 handle for adding.
Yeah, I do feel, though, that like you're kind of stuck for a lot of these stocks right now, in the sense that they got beat up. Now they had a big rally up. It's like you don't want to miss out on the upside, but you also have to be careful chasing here. So it's like, I don't know. I think this is I've always said this. I've told you this before. I think the hardest market to trade is that vertical market.
Mm-hmm.
I love a down market. I felt so comfortable when the Qs were below 700 and things were I was jumping in and out. The volatility was amazing. It's like surfing, like the rhythm of the market. Like every time there's a pause, we shoot up, get out, don't be greedy. But this market, I mean, this is just a power up move. The rotations don't make sense. Like I don't know where the money's going in next. I think it's tough. And we still have a possible rate hike. So
maybe even two. We'll see on the data there. That's all for the future here. Jay Rice, I've been selling the 90 and the 85 puts in SpaceX. Tom was selling the 90 puts, right? Is that what you said earlier?
90 for $1.50.
Jay, you've been doing what the pros are doing. Stop me if you've heard that before. Anne Marie says, Zach, that number looks good, especially into January of 2028. Oh my heavens. Alex is waiting for 50. All right, we'll see what we get. This is going to be fun. All right, Adam, I do want to run through a couple of these movers that we have here. We normally do that during this segment. I would love to get your opinion if any of these things are tradable, or if when I bring these up, if you see something in the chart or in the options chain that you think is worth noting, I would love to hear that. But I'm just going to run through a couple of these if you don't mind.
We've never done this before. I'm excited.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're going to start here with Ondas because this is one of my babies. There's apparently some news on this today, and it actually looks good. Ondas, U.S. Mint Mistral receives a $50 million plus order from the U.S. Army for tactical lethal unmanned systems. This is exactly what we think is going to happen. Our roadmap here is that they're going to continue to add deals and they're going to continue to report positive earnings. This one here, this is a legitimate positive PR. The magnitude is easy to overstate unless we anchor down on how this actually works. So Mistral, the Ondas subsidiary, received over $50 million for an incremental order. This sits under a $982 million multi-year IDIQ contract. The prior award was $190 million. The total awarded to date is $240 million. So the real new information here is that the backlog actually increases 50 million. That should help for future earnings. And the same program, same contract vehicle, it's not actually a new win here. Now, the quality of this order, this is a non-trivial validation of what they're doing, and it's continuing to expand one of their subsidiaries' business. So all of that seems to be positive. So to me, I actually think this is a really good piece of news here today. You can see Ondas did trade up a little bit. Did we capture 9? Yeah, we peaked above 9 and we've come back in. This has been on kind of a wild ride recently. We had a nice move up to 14. We've kind of pulled back. Now it looks like we're curling here. I would love for this trend line to get challenged here again, especially post earnings, maybe a 13 handle. But we'll see where Ondas goes here today. How's the volume doing on that, by the way? All right, let me refresh here. I don't have
3 million. 3
million shares traded on that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm expecting a lot more than that here today.
So listen, I'm rooting for it if you're in it for sure. But for me, it's a little bit of a. I'm not jumping out at this already. First of all, I'd want it to be up more if it was going to be up. So it hasn't spiked that much. It's only up a little bit.
Okay.
But the bigger thing is, the first thing I look at on the deal is the deal relative to the market cap. And so the market cap on Ondas right now is $5 billion.
Yeah.
So a $50 million deal isn't going to be a needle mover, in my opinion. And then add in the fact that it's a defense company and we're talking about a possible truce and the war ending, which people automatically think less on defense in that situation, I think. So yeah, I mean, unless the volume really started pumping and the price proved me wrong, and then I would jump in, it's not something I'm going to look to get involved in. And by the way, I train myself to try to be as skeptical as possible on everything. Like the only time I'm buying is when it's like, I have to on these.
And that's probably a really good way to keep yourself protected. That makes a lot of sense here. Real quick, I do just want to push back a little bit on that. Definitely like incrementally positive. Yes. Is it a high quality signal? Yes. This is actually a follow-on order. We've seen other orders for their Mistral subsidiaries, so that's good. But to your point here, is it transformational? No. And on a deal to market cap basis, I mean, Ondas has done so many offerings. They have so many shares outstanding, and it's actually done an okay job holding the price. So I'm not surprised to see the market cap at that high of a level. But tactically, this is good. Strategically, this is good. Is it going to run today? Probably not.
The earnings is August 13th, and so like I don't see people laying in until that earnings anyhow. Like, so it's almost one of those things where it's like, yeah, maybe we'll take it higher, but let's wait until after the earnings.
Yeah.
Like they have that other event coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I've been saying, remember, this has been a long-term story. I've watched this thing move from 9 to 50 cents back to 15 here. So I've been watching this stock for a long time. One of the things that I'm saying here is that in order for this to really make another big upside move, it's going to have to prove it during earnings. So to your point about that being the next big event up here, I don't know how many people would jump in ahead of that. But what I will say is that if those earnings are good again, I look for this thing to move higher. That might actually be the day to trade it. But that actually had a piece of news, so I just wanted to cover that real quick. The next one here, guess what? We might have another Chinese low float runner. Are you ready for this? YXT is your ticker, YXT.com Group Holdings. This is a Chinese company. Let's take a look at the stats here real quick. It's up 230% right now, so that should meet your spike criteria that you were just talking about. We have no fresh news. This fits in with the theme here. Let's take a look at the float. Okay, float 24.6 million. So this is actually not one of the micro float China names that we have actually been looking at recently. Short interest, negligible. Got really nothing going on here at all in terms of short interest. Let's see if we had any recent splits. We did. In fact, we had a 1-for-10 reverse on July 14th. So not even a month ago, 1-for-10 reverse. That fits our criteria there. And the market cap on this, I actually don't have one. Let me look that up.
I got it.
Thank you.
I had it.
Is it under 5?
Like 24 million.
Nope, 24. Okay.
Well, 15 million.
15 million. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not under 5 from the theme that we've kind of been discussing recently here. Nothing fresh though. Yeah.
Let's just talk about this. So did you see that stock the other day? I don't remember the symbol. It was like ABVT or something like that.
Not Amix from yesterday, right? ADVT.
No, I don't even remember the symbol because I worked really hard to erase it from my mind. No, I don't have the symbol. There was a stock that went from 7 to 80. It was like, and it was trading like 40, 50 a couple of days. Like
this isn't DFNS, is it?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, DFNS. This thing went to above 100.
There was another one too, but DFNS, yes. So DFNS. Let me see where I traded it. I have to go last 60 days. No, it was it was a different one, but DFNS, that's the example. So there's two things. There's the ones that keep going, and you're like, if you have the conviction to stay in it, holy cow, right? Or there's the other ones that set you up and take you right back down. So it's just hard to know which one's going to be what. I like the reversals if you could get in early. This one seems like it's kind of got away from us a little bit in terms of it was at 2 and now it's at 8. Like, it's something that, like, if you get in at 8 and it drops to 6, you're not convinced it's going back to 2. You're not buying more. So I don't know. I think it's tough to trade, and there's probably no options. What do you think? Are you looking at that?
No, at DFNS, the one.
No, the other one.
No. So YXT. So no. Generally speaking, first of all, I hate Chinese stocks. I've been burned a number of times. I generally don't trade them unless there's absolutely something that's airtight that I feel real good about. But for the most part, I avoid these. I'll be quite honest with you, Adam. I don't like trading some of these junkers here. Part of it is because I feel like if I make a winning trade, I feel like maybe I got lucky. And when I make a bad trade, I tell myself, you're an idiot. You know better than to trade this garbage. Like, what are you doing? Trade something that you understand. So I generally just kind of avoid some of these things. But recently, we've seen a lot of these things run, especially the China names that have recently split with a market cap under 5 million and a micro float of under 1 million. Those things seem to go multiple hundreds of percent when it happens. So we might as well call it out. This one's up 200% here earlier. It's come back to the VWAP. Maybe it holds this $8 level and really kind of ramps, takes out those pre-market highs. You never know which one's going to be the big one. That's part of my issue. Never really know.
You keep going, and let's see if we can find one. And if not, I got one idea, but it's not going to be a mover like the ones you're giving me now, like right today.
Okay, perfect. The next one, guess
what? I promise that your audience is very involved. I won't leave them empty-handed. I feel like I'm disappointing them by saying no to all these, but I won't leave them empty-handed.
That's no problem. Next one here is going to be INLF. Guess what? This is another China junker name. This thing looks like this spiked yesterday. Here, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have our nifty trend line here. Bang. INLF spiked in the after hours yesterday. Again, here in the pre-market, the big move seems to be happening right now. Stocks up 110% right now. We have no fresh news. Last piece of news was a extraordinary general meeting. Okay, so they have a general meeting on August 17th. That's still 12 days away. No fresh news on this. Let's take a look at the short interest. 5%, not a whole lot, but there's some in there. Float 1 million. All right, cool. So we have one of our catalysts there. And take a look at this. Market cap, 3.3 million. Have you seen the new rule where they're going to kick micro caps off that have a market cap under 5 million if they don't hold above 5 million for 30 days?
No.
Okay. Well, that's a new thing that's coming here. And one of the things that we're wondering, and there's not going to be a grace period. They're just going to get delisted. So one of the things we're thinking of here is, well, there's two things that are going to go on. Number one, if one of these companies has any interesting piece of technology or something like that, they're a buyout target. They're going to get rolled up into some other company that wants their product or technology. Number two, if you have junkers like this, they're probably going to get run because you want to get that stock above those thresholds. You want to keep it there. You want to stay on the market, especially if you're trying to scam. You got to be able to steal the money from somebody. It's not going to work if you're not on the on the exchange here itself. So here's what INLF has done before. We've actually seen this trade up before. All right, we're open. I lost track of time. That's my fault. Hand in the air on that one. Sorry, folks. And I'll keep you posted on what the bot trades today here, folks. Day 2 of real money. SPY first move out of the open, massive to the upside. 766.30 here. Calls are popping out of the open. We're going to wait this one out. Also, really quick, big time shout out to all of you folks that are trading new all-time high here today as they report earnings. Nice looking breakout here. AMIX, this was the big one from yesterday. Kathy asking thoughts about another run here today. Is it possible? It's possible. Okay, Adam, maybe you can help us with this. What I'd be looking at here in Amex, which went to above 24 yesterday, huge call by 13 in the group on the stupid levels, by the way. They literally hit perfectly. Hope you all followed that. Now we're curling here today in the pre-market. You think if this thing busts above 16, we might run again?
I would have to process this a little more before answering. That's a big.
Get to work, buddy.
Well,
Market's open. It's not waiting for us.
I wasn't looking at this one.
I'm just wondering if this can run again. We're starting to trade up here. This thing was a halt fest yesterday, so we'll see what we end up getting here today. I'll put that in my broker here and watch it.
52-week range, 2 to 32, 13 by 14. Was it up on news?
Yesterday, yes, I believe this did have a news catalyst yesterday. Yeah, it expands the precision neuromodulation platform. That was from Tuesday morning, August 4th. So they had a patent, it looks like. U.S. patent, yeah. Systems and methods for treating cancer and augmented organ failure was your news yesterday.
You know, it's like you don't want to say no, and then the stock's at 30, and I told people not to get involved. But
that's my biggest problem. Look, I make many mistakes.
I'm probably not personally. I wasn't. There's a saying, and I love it, which is, I wasn't there for the wedding. I don't want to be there for the funeral. And the wedding happened on this one from 2 to 19 already. Now it's at 1350, but if it comes back down, I missed that big move. I don't want to be there for the sell-off. It's easier to get re-involved in these when you've made money from the start. So I don't know. So
if you're there from the beginning, that makes sense. Okay, Adam. Again, be sure to check out The Drift with Adam Mesh and Tom Sosnoff. Did you have something you wanted to leave the group with before you signed off?
I'm going to give them a stock that maybe we could get in before the volume comes in and everything like that. And it's a cheap stock. It fits the criteria. It's FRMI. Okay. So Fermi, it's a stock I'm in. Full disclosure, I own it. I own stock in it. I own options in it. So this stock came down from 36. It's trading at 6 now. It got really beat up. Hasn't rallied back up to that 9 level where it was when that sell-off started. This is a data center play where they had like controversy with the CEO that was removed. So there was like a scandal around it, but the data center play is real. So I think the upside is real. I see this thing going back above 10 and the floor is 0. And it kind of just makes sense as a play where something you could hold on to. So because I turned down all the trades, I'm giving out my own, which is FRMI.
Okay, FRMI, you like this? You think 10 is possible here? We've actually talked about this one in the past. So the group should actually be familiar with this. Over time, yeah, because this got hit hard on the CEO leaving. But before that, it was, October of last year, it was above 30. So. Okay, so good possibility here, FRMI. All right, Adam Mesh. He is Adam Mesh. He is on The Drift. That will be on today, shortly following Story Trading. Adam, I appreciate it. Look, we're going to do this again tomorrow, aren't we? Absolutely. I look forward to it. This is great. All right, awesome. Adam, you're one of our favorite people around here. Good luck on the new show. Thank you for taking some time with us today. We'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Later, Ryan. Thank you. Bye.
All right, Adam Mesh, everybody. I used to always say from T3, but now he's working with us. Things are looking up there. Okay, really good. Let's take a look at what's going on here. I know we didn't break down a whole lot of those movers, but we do have some there. Let's take a look really quick at AMIX. I know this was getting asked about earlier. Looks like it really cannot get above this VWAP area here from the pre-market. Looking at my chart and my broker, I also have a short fair value gap area there. So that would be something. Maybe suppressing the price. We'll see if we can break through that. Let's bring on 13 and see how he's doing here today. 13, welcome. I think you're muted. He can hear me. Okay, I'll just keep going here until he figures out his sound settings there. Here's SpaceX. So SpaceX first move here was down. I did get a buy signal, by the way, on the 0 DTE. It looks like it's going to try and push SPY higher here. There, I hear you clicking. Say something.
All right. Well, yeah, I wasn't even on the stream yet. Anyway,
yeah, that's that page unresponsive. I get that all the time too. So
it's because it's free stream. Anyway, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? We do have INLF back open because I know you guys are looking at that one. You want to see a little trend line I got there with that one? Because I'm looking at this, and the trend line I have, which yours is great, by the way. That's a good support trend line from where we're at. I was looking a little bit further back at those last two times this thing ran.
I see it.
Yeah, the 22nd.
I hear you
and 28th.
clucking, big chicken.
Yeah, so that kind of gave me like this idea. Well, maybe this goes to somewhere around 9. Before it really comes back in. I'm not touching this one. It's a total junker stock that could either make or break your day. So yeah, it's not going to be a touch me because we've already seen this music before, and this one is also one that gets hit by HRT Financial. So yeah, I'm just not going to play with that one. But have fun.
Okay. All right. Good. So 13, I need to step away real quick here. Can I leave something on the screen for you, whether it's one of these movers or a bigger stock? I really have to go to the washroom.
Okay. Sure. Put you up,
I was going to say, did you want to talk about you? Let's break that down. I'll be right back. Then we can get back to the movers. Here's your U chart. Did you want me on a daily or a longer time frame?
No, we can just go with the daily. That's fine.
BRB 1 sec.
Okay. So yeah, this is one I was asking about yesterday. Anne-Marie took a look at it with the options chain. I was curious about this one because I'm already an owner here, but I wanted to kind of get an idea of what the options were showing. I had a bullish position going into this print because this is going to be the quarter that's going to encompass some of the travel with the World Cup. Of course, we're going to get some more of that next quarter as well, since the World Cup extended into the third quarter. So I think with my whole thought was, well, we're going to get a lot of travel, and we'll probably end up seeing a lot of U subscriptions being taken. So that was the whole thought here. This did go up to my $65 price target. Now it's really coming back in. So I don't know if it went higher than that. It went up to beyond 68, almost 69. Now we're getting a real big pull here. And if we look for some levels on where this goes down, I would say that maybe this comes right back into some of the support we were getting close to 60. It may come down to about 58 in search of some more support, but this is a big move here today. But yeah, I would say that if this does come back in, it's a little bit more. 58 to 60 is about where I would expect there to be support. And then this can continue higher. This is another identity verification stock. It's in that theme. So, and this is going to be used in a lot of other venues, sports venues, probably at some point like mega churches, mega mosques, things like that. And then you also have the Medicare.gov angle, which this is used for their login credentials. So Clear Secure, lots of different angles how this is going to work great. It is selling after having a great earnings quarter, but like I said, I expect there to be some support around 58 to 60.
Okay, really good stuff. And I am back. Yeah.
And yes, booking does fit the bill. Absolutely, Jay Rice. Absolutely. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yep, all good. Just kind of getting my lay of the land here. Okay, INF halt. Let me go back to the main workspace here. We'll take a look and see what's going on.
I think that halted out of the gate, unless we just had an unhalt and then it rehalted. That might have happened. And I don't know how great this is going to be beyond 9. I just pointed out with the trend line, so we'll see if that ends up if we even end up getting there. That's really all I've got for INLF. There was also a mention of Blue Jay Diagnostics. This actually got mentioned yesterday in our happy hour little meeting that we had. It was moving on no news. It just started taking off. And I looked at this for a little bit, couldn't really find anything going on with it that would necessarily drive this move. But I did find it interesting that this has, it is a medical device company. They actually have a medical device. They just, enrolled, or they just enrolled 750 patients to test the device with, and that's ongoing right now. But this is one of those names that has a market cap that's under 5 million. So I think this could be getting looked at for an acquisition.
Okay. Excellent. So possible acquisition target, yeah. BJDX.
And here's the other thing too. Yeah, this company doesn't have any revenue, and that's fine, but it doesn't have a whole lot of debt either. So I think that kind of makes this kind of
more
a nice
attractive.
pickup.
Yeah, more attractive as a takeout target. Absolutely, yeah. 13.
So just something to keep in mind here. It does have some very high short interest as well. I think that we're also partially getting a squeeze, and it's got a float under 1 million. So it could also be just getting picked up and taken for a ride. And who else but HRT Financial, which did end up picking this up at one point and trading it. That was back last month. So, it could just be, a pump and dump. But when I look at the market cap and I look at their financials, I'm like, well, it might be, but it also might not be. So just keep an eye on it. If it's interesting to you, maybe this does get picked up in an acquisition due to that new NASDAQ rule.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. BJDX. And by the way, real quick, right before I went to the washroom there, I had told you that the indicator gave a buy signal here on SPY. That was right down here. We've pushed higher here now. 776.85 is your high print. I did get a liquidation signal on that as well. So that should have been out on that one. But anyway, we're starting well here. Bots traded 5 things already. We're in the green again. These are looking good. We're actually long CoreWeave right now.
Nice. And we have SpaceX trying to recover out of the gate here. It did give back a whole bunch off their earnings. By the way, I don't know if anybody listened to any of the earnings or anything like that, but we're getting data centers in space, folks.
Yep. And so you had asked me offline here regarding the data centers in space with NVIDIA and SpaceX. There's some news there. And then SpaceX coming out with their own telecom services. So at the outset in the A block, when I covered SpaceX's earnings, I mentioned T-Mobile, Verizon, T is down. I gave the quote from the call saying that they're coming from some of these backbone of the internet. I mean, we're talking big time things coming here. So looking pretty good there for SpaceX.
And that investors of those telecoms companies reacted to this, because as soon as that information dropped around 5:20, 5:30, look at Verizon, look at T-Mobile, look at AT&T. They all felt that. They were like, oh God, not SpaceX.
Now you hear, so this is interesting too, because Verizon tried to come back and close that gap. Looks like it actually did tap that, but it's moving back lower. Samel, no, I've graduated to real money now on the bot. So we are actually trading real money today. Yesterday was an excellent. Oh, by the way, let me just take 1 second here. Whoever it was yesterday, I actually think that there were a couple of you, but whoever it was yesterday that was telling me, Ryan, just let the bot do its thing. That was the best piece of advice that you folks gave me yesterday. I ended up, because it was my first day on real money, and I flattened that first trade. So I could say that the first trade that the bot ever made in real life was green. That's the case. It turns out that I flattened more of those by myself the rest of the day. Here's the problem with that. As always, I had Grok review my trading log and try to figure out what's going on there. And I asked it specifically if me flattening was impacting things. This is what Grok told me. Manual flattens. Almost all of your stocks that you manually flattened would have done better if you held. Names went higher. Several of them would have hit the predetermined calculated target. So the takeaway that I had from yesterday is, Ryan, hands off the damn bot. Let the bot do its thing. Someone in the chat yesterday told me that. That's what we're doing here today. We're looking good so far.
Yeah, hands off, Ryan.
Hands off the bot. You probably hear it going on in the background. The bot, train the bot to scream, leave me alone if you tinker with it. That might be an idea, honestly. But we're cooking here today. We're doing good. We're in the green already.
All right. What else is looking good here? Looks like we have a
rise. It was the goods. It was the goods. Okay. You know what? Thank you. Officially, from me to you, thank you. Because you were absolutely right on that.
All right, looks like ILNF is, it opened a little bit ago, but still trying to hit that $9 area. I still think it may go to that trend line that we drew that takes us into the 9 handle. How much higher it goes beyond that, I really can't say.
This is looking pretty. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. It's looking like it's going to go there. By the way, 13, I did shout you out earlier too. The AMIX calls yesterday from the stupid levels were stupid. Stupid accurate is what it was. And here we go. AMIX is right at the spot that we talked about with Adam Mesh earlier. If it breaks above this, can we go up to the 20 handle?
Look at this inverse head and shoulders you have developing on the 5-minute. Ever since 5:15 this morning, when you had that drop down, you formed a left shoulder, you formed a head, and now you were coming out of the right shoulder. The neckline is about $16. So this resolves. Yeah, we're breaking out of 16.
Okay, folks, AMIX, and this is actually spread 15, 20 cents, it looks like. Looking at the level 2, now that's tightening a little bit to a nickel. It's not bad. We'll see here. AMIX, 1587 is the high print that it's got to snap here. It just hit it. There it goes, and through. Here comes 16, and through.
It's so dumb. Why does it do this? Who knows? We just trade it and win. SpaceX coming back up too. It's getting support from VWAP. Looks like AMIX. This thing it's running into a little bit of consolidation from earlier this morning. So maybe it has a tough time getting up to 18, but it looks like it's still going to get up there to 18.
Really quickly, let me just take care of some of the questions here. Gary's asking, Ryan, how is position size handled in your program? I've developed toggles for that, so I can change both the number of option contracts used in the 0 DTE strategy as well as the number of shares. And I've also attached a notional value to that. So it'll trade a max notional value and it will automatically calculate how many shares can fit into that. So for example, if I'm telling the bot to buy 100 shares of every stock and it gets to SanDisk, it's going to buy less than 100 shares and it automatically calculates that and puts it in there. That's how I've handled that. Jay said, Ryan, bots are like a 36 handicapper. Don't take advice from a hack. No doubt about it, Jay. But what I've discovered here with bots is that it all comes down to the strategy. That's why when I laughed when I was getting razzed about using Grok instead of Claude to make it. That's insignificant, absolutely meaningless. What matters more is going to be the strategies itself. The strategies themselves are tried and true and tested, and I've been watching them for months. So anyway.
Got that mentioned that INF is halted down. It is. It looks like $7 might be the next support. I don't know if we'll get that out of the halt. It may be lower around 650. Also, DFNS is trying to turn back up here. It hit 65 in the pre-market, but we're not there yet in the regular session. It's trying to get support from VWAP right now. And you can even draw an upside trend line on the 2 highs from the pre-market if you kind of want to give yourself a target of where DFNS may potentially go if it can breach 65. So if we do get that move up to 65 and it goes through it, the trend line from the 2 highs earlier this morning could give you an idea of where this goes next. Maybe. And
I have that. My eyeballed it here at about 69 and change. Gene, take care of yourself. Have a good day at your day job.
Take care, Gene. Okay, I didn't even really look at the movers. We already had a bit of movers this morning. I guess INLF is already one there. So is Blue Jay Diagnostics. So we already looked at a couple of them. Looks like Shopify Bull ETF is up. So they had good earnings. I didn't look at
Shopify smoked earnings here. Smoked earnings this morning, or at least the move was great. This thing was up. Oh, it's come back in a little bit. This thing was up, I think, close to 30% earlier today. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, look at this. From here to the high on that earnings print, 34%. Now it's come back in. So here's a good question. Where does this bounce from?
I mean, it could be soon. It looks like it's flagging. So let me get a closer look at this, because it looks like it's trying to sniff out some support so it can resolve this this bullish pattern here. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get the sense that it's going to have to turn around pretty soon.
140 to me, just kind of eyeballing it. By the way, SPY rolled over and pulled here. So I know we've been kind of going around the horn pretty quickly here. Here's your SPY move. There was one good upside trade there. The rest of these have been signals. Bang. CoreWeave booked by the bot, hit target. Bang.
You need to hear a register ring.
Here, I normally don't give myself register rings, but now if I'm giving them for Body McBot face, we're in good shape. Also, Amex, by the way, this is another one of the movers that we were just talking about. Here's Amex. Look at this. I know it peaked above, but it is still holding there. Watch for maybe round 2 here through 16. Let's see on Amex.
Yeah, DFNS still holding VWAP. It's moving pretty slowly, and it's got a scary spread of at least 40 cents.
Did we just get a headline? SPY pulling big.
Nope,
I don't see it.
Iran and Oman negotiators finalized draft Strait of Hormuz deal, but that was like 4 minutes ago, I think.
Yeah, but that was actually from the overnight session. This might just be a pullback here. Let me check my other news feed here real quick. Nope, you're right about that. We did have the PMI, global composite PMI for July, 54.5 versus 53.6.
That ADP non-farm employment change for July seemed to be a little bit smaller than the estimate.
Yeah, that happened in the pre-market, though. We marched higher from that. Okay, anyway, I don't think we have a headline necessarily responsible for this move back down here in the SPY. If we do, I haven't seen it, but let me know if you find it. Here's what it looks like, though. SPY coming back in. We'll see if it holds the 744.50. That's actually going to be your 65 EMA on the 5.
One of the other ones we've traded before, BIYA. This thing had a pop out of the gate, went up to the pre-market high, right close to it, and it's turning around. So don't know if this is all it's going to give, but I just thought it was worth pointing out since it got some volume this morning. If it holds VWAP, maybe there's some more upside.
All right, SPY is bouncing. Joe, I think you're spot on. Joe said, Ryan, it looks like a profit-taking SPY pull to me, not that violent. Joe, I think with a little bit more watching here, I think you're probably onto that. It basically pulled, let me get the actual number for you here. Sorry, I can't see it. It basically pulled down to 774.25, and now it's bounced so far. Bot just took a new trade on NVIDIA. Entry, 219.88, target 225.43. We'll see what happens there.
It was over 13. It was almost 14 at the close to the end of the day yesterday. I think, Ryan, you said it printed 14 in the after hours.
Which? Velo? Yeah. That's what we're talking about, right?
Velo, either one. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So here's what here it is, 13. You can actually see it on the chart. Now, I understand why you didn't see this initially. It was this single order right here. In fact, there was 105 shares traded at $14 even. Now, since then, it's come back in. It has held the 200 EMA on the 5, though. That's good.
Yeah. And this is going to be one of the ones that trades with SpaceX. Look what it's actually held up much better than SpaceX did. Probably because there's not a whole bunch of upcoming share dilution events and unlocks. So that might have something to do with it. But this is, I did trim a little bit of this. I still own it, but I did trim a little bit with this run that it had up into 1388 or wherever that we closed yesterday. So just waiting for it to kind of resolve a little bit here. Maybe it comes back in, gives me another opportunity to add lower. But it was been a great couple of days this thing has had. So I think it's going to probably just cool off for a bit.
Yeah, my thought here on this one was that I actually did not trim. I added down in the 8s and the 9s. I did not trim this yet, partly because I just watched this stock go to 30 plus. And I'm thinking if we get another move here, 20 isn't even out of the question. So I hadn't thought about trimming yet at 13. But you know what? Maybe that would have been a good idea if we kind of take a break here.
And I'm just, waiting for it to come back down into support. And the support that I see when I kind of back out of a 5-minute chart or even like a larger intraday chart, there's a shelf at about 1155, 1150 that could provide some support. You can see it it's basically from a couple days ago, the 3rd. And we ran up to this 1155 area, and we just kept hitting it all day and into the after hours. And finally, the pre-market from yesterday, we finally got over it. So I think that's going to be the support if we do come back in.
Here is that 1155 area. This is exactly what you're talking about right here.
That's where I think that's the demand zone I'd be keeping an eye on. All right, let's see what else we got here.
Okay, Uber. So I didn't look at this. Uber, it looks like this was trading up into the print, and then after the print, we went lower. Now we've actually gone lower than the impulse move here on Uber. That makes me think we've got more downside coming here. I would say 66 is going to be your next support area. Yeah, 65 to 66, somewhere in there. Uber.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking, why was that down so much? We just had a big event that should have seen a rise in that. And I'm wondering, did Waymo, siphon business away from Uber? It's kind of one of the things I think about, because we just had the World Cup. We should have seen tons of Uber. We should have seen Avis Budget perform better. I don't know when their earnings are. I think they're coming up.
Here, let me see if I can have AI help me with that.
Yeah, because Waymo reported, they had a historical milestone reached of 500,000 fully autonomous rides per week.
All right, I'm going to see here. Did Uber lose any business to Waymo, and how was the World Cup traffic in addition to the overall quality of the report? Here we go. On the evidence based from this report, Uber does not look like it materially lost business to Waymo in the quarter. Mobility gross bookings still grew 22% year over year, and trips rose 18%, which is not what you'd expect if Waymo was taking meaningful shares from Uber. So there's your answer on that. As far as World Cup traffic, for the World Cup, Uber leaned into event traffic with shuttles and other special ride options, and reporting around the opening matches showed real congestion and late night pickup issues near the venues.
I don't like the word issues.
No, neither do I. And that's AI trying to be nice about it too. So the reality is probably a little bit uglier.
That would make sense with how their earnings went then, if they were having real trouble with the World Cup.
So this is just kind of a recap here. Uber is still growing fast. Margin expansion is real, and the Waymo situation is not yet showing up as a measurable loss. Overall, the quarter on a financials basis, not bad. Market doesn't like it though. Minus 5% here on Uber, and we are down near the lows.
Yeah, it's a sales miss and an inline beat on adjusted EPS, and then they guided lower. That's not good.
I see some NVIDIA calls. The bot's still long NVIDIA. Oh, and we're up near the highs. Oh, and the bot's higher on that. Fantastic. 225.
Oh, I'm a millionaire. Go get that Ferrari.
No. Don't be throwing things out there that aren't true. But this is a really good sign here. Bot's got a 50% win rate, 3 wins on 6 total trades.
RDW is looking good. Yeah, it's still getting a lift up there. Still has the high short interest. It doesn't meet our days to cover, but still could be a little squeezy.
Brian here saying bulls got their juice. SPY and Q's headed higher. So Joe, I think we could confirm you were 100% correctly. You were 100% correctly. Ryan English, do you speak it, MFer? You were 100% correct. SPY rolled over here. It absolutely looked like profit taking, but look at this bounce off the 65 EMA on the 5. Oh, good God, that is good. And as far as your comment about strength, here we are up at the intraday highs up here at near 776.85, your intraday high print.
Kathy, I don't know.
I do.
Oh,
they said that was expected either today or tomorrow.
Okay. There you are. What else is looking good right now? It looks like we did try to get a recapture of 115 from SpaceX, but that was rejected.
Shop, this might be bouncing. We talked about maybe 141. Looks like the low it went to was 143. Now we have a VWAP test coming at 148.32. I know we talked about this one here. You know what, 13? Let me toss a trend line on here as well.
I like this bottoming that Shop has been doing all year. It came down in January, kind of bottomed in May. Most of the supports around just above 100. I really do like this recapture of the 200-day SMA. Now, if we can hold above this for a few days, then I think we're going to see those all-time highs again.
Okay.
I mean, you just have to look back far enough, and we have a potential cup with handle setup going here. You can look on a weekly.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit more apparent. Back out.
So here's your cup handle, and then 13, dude. Okay, 178, 179 in here, depending on where you draw your line, maybe even 175. This is going to be your breakout spot for this cup and handle to really kind of extend to the upside.
Yeah. So I think this, with all this in mind, if everything's looking good, just I would want to spend more time looking into Shop. But this formation on the weekly chart over the past, basically since COVID, has been pretty much putting in what looks to me like a cup with handle formation. So if we get a resolution of that, we're gonna see 200 and higher.
Okay. Shop, good move here so far. Seeing Broadcom puts. Where did Lion go? What's the deal with Lilly? I'm surprised. I'm surprised we're not hearing about new Lilly trades here. They reported earnings. They beat. Really good earnings report. CEO was on CNBC earlier. Lilly actually did take out the pre-market high and came back here. It's at the VWAP right now. Anyone trading Lilly? Anyone looking, trading, or thinking about Lilly right now?
No. Look at the weekly. We've gone nowhere. We've gone nowhere on these earnings. I know we're up today, but we sold last week, and now we're just recovering what we sold last week. So I would want to see some higher prints, and we're not going anywhere yet.
Okay.
And I think the narrowing the guidance might have had something to do with that. But I couldn't give you an exact reason about why we're not, a whole lot higher or maybe even sailing into new all-time highs, because it looked like we would, it would be a good enough report to send it up there, but we're still just kind of, more or less sideways.
Okay. Real quick, G-Man, I'm on Lilly since last week. Do you have any targets or key levels for us? Kathy, I'm holding Lilly long-term. That's probably what I would end up doing with this too. So I'm guessing you don't necessarily have any short-term price targets. Looking at the daily chart here, pretty easy trend line. Looks like we actually tested that here. Came back in.
You like trend lines, dude.
I mean, they've been working for us, so yeah.
Back out into a daily. I got a trend line for you. I've used the July 2024 highs. I started there and I drew it through the January 2026 highs. And if you keep going, this is the resistance trend line that we've been pretty much dealing with for the summer. There you go. Yeah. So
now let me zoom in so we can see it a little bit better. Yeah, we've peaked above this, but you're absolutely right. We are clearly trading around this, no doubt. Selena, long-term hold in at $84. Selena, I'm
Holy
giving you a
cow.
registry ring on general principle for that one. That's insane.
I mean, let us know when your retirement party is.
Yeah, because we're coming. That is awesome. By the way, market continuing to pull. We actually made a double here. Let's take a look at the SPY chart here real quick. G-Man, I would love to hear if you have levels for this too. I'm sure the group would also. Here's what our SPY chart looks like. Double top right up here near that 676.85 area. Now we're pretty much, where are we at? 775. We're basically right beneath the VWAP. We're right near VWAP here. Selena says, me retire. There's Lion. Lily is a cash cow. Okay. Okay.
Oh, it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of candle we end up with here today in SPY. You know, we've had, let's see how many days here. Every day since July 29th has essentially been a gap up over the previous close. Every single day. Wild stuff. Can we go over the PMI release? It says BJM the second.
That's Brian, by the way. What did you want to go over? We gave you the print earlier. Do you just want the actual, like, what does it mean here? Here, I'll read it here for you first. ISM non-manufacturing prices for July 70.3 versus the 67.7 prior read. Non-manufacturing PMI for July 54.1 versus the 54.5 estimate. So the headline of 55.6 versus the 54 expected and the 53 prior. This is a risk-on type print for cyclical growth business because it confirms manufacturing is still expanding and accelerating rather than rolling over. No, you don't have to rewind, Brian. We got you. Do you have any thoughts on the read-through on this 13?
No.
At the same time, the hot price paid components is a reminder that stronger growth may not translate into softer inflation immediately, which matters for rate-sensitive sectors right away. So there we go. Let me know if you wanted anything else off that, or if anyone else has an opinion that we should maybe be looking at here for this, let me know. More NVIDIA calls. Let's check in on NVIDIA. Remember, target's 225.43. We are at 221. Giddy up. And SpaceX, so interesting here. I know a lot of us are waiting for sub 100, and part of me is wondering if we are going to need to kind of be patient here. It does look like SpaceX post-IPO has held 110. Now, 13, you have done an excellent job reminding us that tomorrow is really going to matter. Let me ask you a question. Do you think it would be telling if the stock did not get blasted on a 20% lockup expiry?
Blasted down?
Yeah, like if it just kind of held in there or had a modest flat day.
I mean, I don't think it would be surprising if it held in there. I do think that there's going to be some early investors that want to hold this, but I also think that there are going to be some traders that selling as part of their plan. So I expect there will be some, but how severe it pulls the stock down, I don't know exactly. But what I do know is that the float's going to become harder to move, and as more and more shares unlock, it's just going to make that more difficult to move, I think. So,
okay. Did you hear the stat that I gave from my buddy that owns a private equity fund that has had SpaceX for years?
About how his entry was like $4?
Yeah. So, well, it's not his entry, but he remember, he's managing a book for clients here. Here's the stat. The lockup is only 20%, and I can tell you that my clients own it from $4 and most are not selling.
The lockup is for 20% of the available shares that are going to be unlocked, which actually represents more like 40% of the entire outstanding shares.
I apologize for not setting the context correctly there. I was asking him if the lockup expiry schedule worried him, and his response was about how that was only 20%. So you're exactly right. I apologize for leaving out context.
No, that's right. That's right. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there because the 20% of the entire outstanding shares of SpaceX would be substantially more than the 991 million we're going to be getting. But we do have that event coming up. We also have another 7% being unlocked later this month, closer to the end of the month. That's going to be the first of the tranches. And then there's also the AnySphere acquisition that's happening. It's supposed to close this quarter. That is a $60 billion share dilution event that's going to be happening. So more shares will be issued, and that certainly will pull the price down. So there are a lot of things coming up that are going to see they're going to basically effectuate an increase in the size of the float and the amount of debt. Maybe.
So videos watch online says, thank you, Benzinga and hosts, for hosting these calls. As someone learning the markets, this is so valuable to have. I am thrilled to get that feedback from you. The one thing that I would add to that, and I've said this before, please don't forget, we are a company that actually listens to the people that use our product. We take feedback, good or bad, anytime. If you have something that you think we can make better here, we would love to hear that. Obviously, you can throw it here in the chat. My producer's always on the lookout for that. He may ask you to email shows@benzinga.com. If you have a lot of feedback, we're always looking to improve here, my man. Glad you're finding it helpful. Ryan deserves a raise. You're damn right.
One of those movers from this morning, INLF, couldn't quite get to 9, got to 860. This is pretty much giving it all back as we more or less expected. It's actually maybe coming down into that support area from the under. Actually, the trend line that you drew, I think, is where we're getting. Yeah, right there, right support right there. So this could be a reversal area, but we still have VWAP above it. So that's going to be the next hurdle to get over here if this trend line does provide that support.
Trevor asking an excellent question here. Why don't you guys sell puts on SpaceX for your entry? So that is a really good question. Let me take a look at the option chain here and see if I can think about that a little bit more seriously. All right, so the September 80 puts are 150 by 155. So you're thinking sell that, collect the premium. You could, if you wanted, if you had a little bit higher price target, maybe sell the 90 put. That's 325 by 340. So you're thinking maybe collect a little premium. If it never goes down there and you don't get filled, at least you have premium. If it does go down there, then you're paying the price you want. You get put to the stock. Trevor, this is not a bad plan. I think that what I'm just kind of trying to be as patient as possible. Although I've given out some of these price targets, I don't know how accurate I'm going to be.
For me, it's more about the timing. I don't know exactly when I'm going to get the price that I want. I'm just, being patient. And if I try to time it, if it's going to go down, then I don't think I'll be in as much trouble. But if it doesn't go down, then I'm probably going to be in some trouble. And it's a great idea, but I don't consider myself to be as good with options as, like, say, Ryan, or certainly not Anne Marie. She's the best, but I have my own plan for it, and I'm just going to be patient and wait for the price that I want. I don't know how long it's going to take to get down there. Yeah,
that's kind of, I think that's probably my answer here. But Trevor, my answer is I don't know how long it's going to take to go down there, but I still think now that you're forcing me to think about this, I think that might make the put sale even better, right? At least you're doing something in the meantime while you're waiting. And if your plan doesn't work, at least you collected some money on that. Well, I'll let you know if I change my approach here. Thanks for making me think, though. That's a good question, Trev.
Why gold ripping? It could be a number of reasons. Weakening oil, potential FOMC rate decisions.
13
rare earths. Getting back on the table. What's up?
So that's interesting. You had said weakening oil. I remember at the outset here, I had mentioned that oil was actually up about 0.5%. It has weakened since then. We're down 1.15% now.
And I think that there's also the deal with the U.S. Propping up the yen. It's a number of factors that I think are contributing to why gold is rising.
Now, let me ask you, that whole yen carry trade saga that's going on right now that you've been on top of, wouldn't that have massive implications for the price of gold with whatever happens?
Yeah, that's
So,
metals and even crypto.
Yeah, that's got me wondering. By the way, another buy signal here on the 0 DTE indicator as SPY marches towards the highs. I'm not taking it. My bot didn't take that either. I actually have to review the logic on the 0 DTE here for the bot. I haven't had a fill in 3 days. And the bot's working, like confirmed working. So
yeah, it's probably looking at all this upside and going, for real?
Well, so here's the interesting thing about this. I actually did code in a kind of like a regime indicator. So for SPY, Qs, and IWM, I have an indicator that tells me if it's a bull bear regime, and then if it's choppy, if it's extended, if it's a crash tape, any of that. And I do have the bot looking at that now. And so part of me wonders, 13, now it didn't say extended, but even so.
Yeah, I think that, there's a lot of things kind of all happening at once. It's driving the prices of resources like metals and rare earths. And we have, the trade truce coming to an end, I think next month, or I'm sorry, it might be in October. But we also have the Trump-Xi meeting, and one of the primary points of discussion are going to be rare earths and critical minerals. So I think this is, we're seeing maybe some of the early signs of positioning. It's like I said, it could be a number of different things. But I think it's most of it is what we've been just discussing here.
And here, real quick, for those of you that are interested, we'll just do a quick peek here. This is what the bot is doing here. Remember, this is on real money. So the numbers are small here because we're obviously testing this with small size. I'm not going to get blown up because of a robot. That just doesn't make any sense. But these are the things that I'm talking about here. So first of all, we're up cool $400 here, 50% win rate, best trade plus 155, worst minus 25. But here are those pills that I was talking about. I coded in this index gate that basically tells me if I have an edge. And this, of course, updates in real time here. And so what I've done is that when I don't have an edge, when it's choppy or when there's no edge, the bot looks to maybe stop out a little bit quicker. But yesterday, when we have a huge run like we had, where it was just risk on for huge periods of the day, I have the bot maybe loosening some of its stops so it lets some of those stocks run to their target. It's my hope that over time, this type of thing is actually going to help me make more profitable trades throughout the course of the day. Here's the open trade. It's got the active NVIDIA trade. I'm sorry about the styling. It looks better on Mac than it does on PC. I'll try and fix that here. But you can see we're in NVIDIA, 100 shares, and we're up on that. So there we go. We'll do some more check-ins here. Bot's having a decent day so far. All right, let's get back to some of the movers here. INLF did hold that trend line. And it might be testing its, not quite. Okay, we're a little shy of the VWAP. Actually, it looks like it did trade up towards that VWAP before backing off. Westcap saying, what are the critical levels in the market? Do we go up or down? We are in a blue sky breakout right now. The critical level to me is the intraday high of 776.85.
Yeah, I'm not really, enjoying this this consolidation that the market's been doing since it opened here. But several of us are looking for the price to reach 800 before we get a meaningful corrective move. So I guess that for now, that's what I'd be looking at. But I'm very curious to see how this candle here ends up closing today. As I mentioned earlier, we've just been gapping up since we closed on July 29th. Every day since then has been a gap up over the previous day's close.
Mm-hmm. Part of me wonders, 13, we are kind of trading sideways here on the SPY. Part of me wonders if this lasts all day, do we maybe fall away from this area? Do we maybe get some weakness here in the afternoon and come back in?
It's
because
possible.
the last several days, we've kept moving to the upside. There's been no indication that we should turn around. Today does look a little different here, at least so far this morning.
Yeah, so far. and that could all happen. And we're still in a very news driven market. So some Truth Social posts could turn us around or take us even higher. But one thing that I like to keep an eye on is just how extended we're getting, and we could still go higher. This is not the most. We're not even in overbought territory yet on the SPY, and we still can get up there before the market really starts to rethink how much higher it's going to go. So I think that there's still a little bit more upside left. It's starting to look like we might not get 800 this week, but like I said, we still have we're still in a very news-driven market, and whatever is said with in a truth post or a major headline comes out, and it could absolutely rip higher or completely turn things around. So that's why I'm interested to see what kind of candle we end up here with today. But we're not overbought just yet.
13 minutes ago, U.S. removes Iran-related sanctions. That's per the Treasury website. That was part of the potential deal that they were talking about for going forward, and it looks like we're getting at least some movement on there. Now, SPY did roll over to the actual low here, and I'm sorry I couldn't get this in here. Kathy, this was a great mention. AMIX actually above 16, so we're testing this possible breakout spot again.
AMIX. All right, let's see here. Yeah, we're trying to still get that inverse head and shoulders resolution. And we ran up near that consolidation area from yesterday going into the after hours. And that's really the big area that the price needs to get over here. Maybe it does it with this current move. But yeah, that's going to mean an entry of 17 and resistance all the way up into the 20s, the low 20s. We need more volume than this. This is not the same volume from yesterday. Yesterday was just fantastic.
No, and not only is it not the same volume 13, but it's very, very clearly different action. We weren't this choppy at all. Now so my indicator does have a mixed gate right now. The SPY's choppy, the Qs do have a bit of an edge, and the IWM is choppy. So still not risk on. This is way, way more chop than we saw yesterday. I wanted to address one question here. Ryan, how do I get one of those? I haven't figured out what I'm going to do yet in the future. I'm a ways off for that. But if I come up with something, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
look at gold.
So that means silver is doing pretty good.
Look at gold. That is a huge. No wonder Izzy was asking about this earlier. Did you end up giving GLD levels?
No. Whenever I see precious metals start to rise, there's really only one name that I like to go to the most, and that's WPM. I don't own it. I used to, and I wish I still did, but this is one of my favorite silver streamers. I own FCX and I own NEM, so I do have exposure, but this is this company I talked a lot about when it was in its 40s. I think maybe even lower than that, and it pays the dividend.
Yeah, the dividend, that's obviously really good for holding. Just looking at this gold chart here, and by the way, shout out Ben from Story Trading on this. He's coming up here in 8 minutes, so if this is something that you're interested in, stay tuned here. And then we have the drift with Adam Mesh after that. We got a loaded morning for you here. But gold, look at this move above the 50. Where on earth is Lion Atlas? After all of the talk about gold, we have gold literally trading sideways and basing here, giving us a really, really good support area. Let's just call it 365. There's Lion. And we have a break above the 50 here. Lion, are we breaking out next here 411? Gold, okay, Ryan, you didn't see nothing yet. Gold is just about to start. Pink hand waving. Let's go.
Who was that I was talking about?
Atlas. There he is.
Odie, I was talking about WPM, Wheaton Precious Metals.
And shame on me, 13. I actually didn't switch the ticker when you talked about that. So
no problem.
Actually, Wheaton.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also breaking above the 52. We're actually testing the 100 or the 200 day here. SPY continuing to pull, by the way. So SPY pulling off those highs. We just talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. Oh, that is so awesome.
Yeah, AM's another good one. Yep. What's the best stock for gold? I don't know. They'll have to have the ones that trade, the folks here that trade gold the most tell you.
Yeah, so I think the story trading guys like GLD. It sounds like you like GDX. Lion likes GLD too, but I think he also likes some of the individual names. He gives them all the time. WPM's on one of them, and WPM has earnings tomorrow. Thank you, Tess. You have any expectations for that 13 or not? Long term, maybe maybe you're not necessarily caring about it.
No, I haven't been following their earnings, but one of the reasons why I like them so much is that when it comes to miners, they're very capital intensive and they require a lot of borrowing and they need a lot of leverage. Not this company, because they don't own the mines; they own the production, so they don't have that kind of leverage risk that some of these other miners do, and that's the reason why I like them so much, because if rates go up a lot, it's not going to affect WPM as heavily as it would affect the other names that rely on rates to be profitable and keep operation costs low.
All right, real quick, gotta highlight this comment. Lion, I love this. I'll explain here. This is not a victory lap, and I'm not poking you at all. Lion says, I'm mad at myself. I made $8,000 on futures and at the open, and I gave 5,000 of it back. Okay, so Lion, so first of all, I'm very happy that you said this, because this is what normally happens to most traders. You make some, you lose some. How you actually structure that so you make some over time is going to be extremely important. I'm not happy that you lost money. Obviously, I want everyone to make as much money as possible. But I think what you're describing here is something very important. Here's my follow-up question to you, Lion. What's next? What's next for you? You made money. You gave a huge chunk of it back. Are you going to run and hide? That doesn't sound like what a lion would do. So I would say you're probably not going to do that. What are you doing next to keep your mental state locked in on your goals here for today? What's something that the group can take from this?
I think this is a perfect example of why you got to keep a journal. I mean, after a round of bitching and complaining to yourself, which I do sometimes when I have something like that not work out.
Likewise.
Then I get to looking at, okay, what I do wrong, so I don't do that again, and that's why you need to keep a journal. It's going to take some reflection. But that's copper miners running. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. FCX, love to see it. NEM, those are the two that I'm in for the miners.
Lion is going to revenge trade, says Wiss. Lion says, I'm going to say it again. What are you going to say again? Or are you typing it right now?
Oh, he's
winding
getting
up.
ready.
He's winding up right now. Here comes a whole bunch of slander about Palantir and all this. I mean, he's pounding the damn keys. I can hear him here from Chicago. I'm just kidding, Lion. I'm joking. I actually am trying to get a serious answer out of here, but I'm also trying to have fun at the same time. Yeah. Ben was right, by the way. Ben from Story Trading. What a breakout on gold. Yeah. I wasn't in that. So shout out, Ben. Well done.
Thoughts on Bloom Energy? I mean, the data center theme, I don't think is dead.
So, not at all.
So Bloom Energy, now this is, it's a fuel cell play, but these data centers are looking for every angle of cheap energy they can get. And with a lot of pushback coming from communities over connecting to local grids and building near residential areas, I think that's one of the reasons why I, talk about, as Adam just did, Fermi, because they've already have these dedicated areas set up for building out massive data center campuses. I expect that we'll probably see potentially see some of Bloom Energy on a campus like Fermi's. But I don't think this is done at all. It is coming up to a resistance area, so there might be having a little bit of a tough time getting through this sideways price action from earlier in the year. The 50-day SMA is in the way as well. So I think in the near term, the 260, 255 area, that's going to be a little bit of a tough area to get through. But if we manage to get through it and start approaching 300, I think there's a good chance this goes a whole lot higher. But we are coming up to some pretty tough supply.
Okay, I say it all the time. If you're going to active trade, it's going to be really important to come up with your own strategy so that you're able to make your own decisions every day. If you're not doing that, you are going to struggle. Trust me, I've been through it. But what I will also say along those lines is that when you are forming your circle of your sphere of influence around you, it is important to take cues from those because that operates as a second set of eyes. Generally speaking, 13 is one of the best researchers I know. That's one of the reasons we brought him on here. He does an excellent job with that, and it's all day, morning and in the afternoon. When Adam Mesh and 13 are on the exact same stock on the same day, to me, that is a notable data point. So even though I don't have my own thesis here, even though I haven't come up with my own trading strategy for this, Fermi is now one that I'm going to watch. Two smart people from my sphere of influence are talking about long-term prospects here on this company. Something to keep an eye on. And we all do this, no matter how good of a trader you are. If you have anyone in your circle that also knows about stocks and trades, we're going to look into that. NVIDIA trade closed out on a curl back to the cloud. That gain is booked. No open positions for the bot. We're in the green still. And just like that, bot took a trade on MU. It's just no chill.
Let's look at MU. So here we are trying to get back above the 20-day SMA. That's still been, and this is one of the one of the moving averages I wanted to see recaptured, because when we lost it, this has been the moving average that has pretty much suppressed the price action every time it's been back up to it. So today we're going to need to see if, and tomorrow, I would say, we would need to see if we're going to actually get that close above it, number one. Number two, are we going to reverse and go lower like we've been doing every time we've approached that 20? Are we going to go on to test the 50 and 1,000? That's kind of my question just, for today and tomorrow when it comes to MU.
Okay, I actually got stopped out of MU right there. Real interestingly enough. Okay, we're out of time here. 13, any closing words for the group?
Hey, folks, another wonderful day seeing you here and trading, but I didn't do a whole lot. I don't think a lot of the morning movement happened before I got on, but that's fine. Tomorrow's another day. We can't always have winners every day. So I'll see everybody tomorrow. Take care. Stay green. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
13, take care of yourself. Great stuff as always. We will see you tomorrow. Now, 13's departure leaves room for the story trading folks. Let's check in with them. Ben with a great eye and call there on gold. Thank you, Ben. Let's also bring on Dougie Fresh and Rhett. We'll put up Ben's screen. What do you guys got coming up for us?
Yeah, I'm just. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah, this gold chart is crazy. I noted the strong consolidation yesterday, but I didn't do anything yesterday. I wanted validation, and over the 50 DMA, I jumped on it. And you go look at a daily chart. Look at this. Look at just like move every technical indicator off your chart if you can, and only look at the 50 DMA, and you can see how important that line is. I don't know what's going on. I think maybe it might be linked to this Iran deal. With the oil trade and Strait of Hormuz, and maybe the death of the petrodollar, weakening the weakening dollar. Let's look at UP. The dollar's down, and maybe something with that. But something is going on. This is a major technical breakout, and I've been chasing it all morning, and it's working right now.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, good stuff. Thanks for the shout, by the way, because I didn't even have my eyes on gold. Have a good session here, folks. I'll see you guys in about a half hour.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan.
Awesome.
All right. So there's gold, little dip right here.
Nice call, Ben, on that gold. I like it. I just took the Qs down too. Holy cow, that was a beauty.
The question is, when do we get out, right? I don't know. Like, I'm tempted.
I might lock it in here, actually, Ben.
I just locked a few in as well.
I did too. There you go. I wasn't even looking at it. I'm glad we just said that. I was watching the Qs because I just hooked them for a wild ride down.
I did lock in a little bit earlier, and I just locked in more right now. But I in addition to that, though, I picked up. I rolled out, though. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I sold the 390s for a big gain, and then I rolled out to the 392s. But the one that I'm really banking on is August 12th, 390. They're still up. Even on this pullback, they're still up 39%. So in any case, look, there's a ton of stories here today, a ton of things that worked for us. Katos, huge winner for our community. We're in it before earnings, and then we just pounded it in size, a lot of us, after the earnings report last night, and sold at the open, basically. Had a target of 59 and then a secondary target of 62. So huge win. You got to listen to that conference call. Just absolutely amazing situation there at Katos. And then NVIDIA topic of the day with a 220 target. Boom, went straight there. I know you guys kill it on that kind of stuff. I'm not really so much into mega cap 0 DTEs. I see you guys killing it all the time, and amazing. Why don't you explain that trade this morning, Rhett, how that all developed? Because you actually gave me the idea last night. You were listening, I guess, or you saw the tweet about Elon Musk talking about NVIDIA. That's how it got on my radar. Made it into the morning note. No, that was all you, Rhett. Why don't you talk about that trade? And
yeah, so yesterday someone alerted me about that in the Discord about Elon Musk using the GPUs only from NVIDIA. And as we saw, AMD took a huge hit. And I jumped in that trade around 212, and I was looking for 215 yesterday. And it ripped, but I saw the setup forming today. We made it a top pick at 220. That was easy to see. Let's see what it ran to today.
222.
And I picked up calls right out the get-go that I didn't think would get filled. And I got filled on those, and those ran over 200% today. So I got lucky there, but it hit 220 almost instantly within the first 5-10 minutes of the market open. So that was a great trade for who was ever able to chase and get into that one.
Yeah.
Another one that I really fumbled today was Zeta, though.
I know. I fumbled that last night. Okay. I bought it in their retirement account yesterday. That's up 14%. Beautiful, right? Thank you, Rhett, for putting that on my radar. But I tried trading around the earnings last night, and I just got shaken out. It dipped, and I didn't have the same kind of confidence. Like, we bought the dip in Katos because I know that company better. I was on the conference call. Zeta, I was borrowing conviction. So when it dipped, I just bailed and took the loss on the trade account on Zeta.
Yeah.
But
yeah, same. And it was a pretty good report. Conference call was good. Long-term story remains intact. The only thing a little concerning is how they're using like 90% of their new code. They're using like agentic AI and all that other. So that's a little concerning for me because other people can come to the market, not a huge moat, but at the end of the day, they still are shooting a lot on goal, and they're already fully using I think it was Foundry with Palantir. So that's great.
Yeah, so lots of big movers and winners for us. Here's Gold, NVIDIA, Katos, Zeta. There's one more here I'm up on, but I keep on adding more, and we'll see. We'll see if this turns out into a huge winner because I got big size now. Kodak absolutely crushed earnings. Let me go to the Benzinga newsfeed here. I've been following Kodak for years, and this was a massive, massive blowout and inflection point for Kodak. Let's see what the Benzinga AI article says here. All right. There's no analyst coverage on this, so that makes it a little bit tricky. And so what I have to do is compare it to prior quarter and prior year. So in the Benzinga article here, it says EPS of 13 cents, up from minus 36 cents last year, and sales of 311 million, up from 263 million last year. And those numbers, okay, they also crush sequentially. There was massive sequential growth in Kodak. Why can't I find it right now? Hold on. Where are my numbers? Kodak. I had it written down. Did I throw it out accidentally? I don't have it in front of me anymore. I have to look it up. All right. You know what? We'll give you a little show and tell of the Benzinga newsfeed. All right. So Benzinga, check this out. So this was, let me just go to press releases only. So last quarter, okay, first quarter financial results. Okay, they did $265 million revenue with operational EBITDA of 15 million. 265, 15 million. Well, what did they do this quarter? 311 million, operational EBITDA 36 million. So he had massive sequential and year-over-year growth in Kodak. And if you chart this out, I have a Y charts account where you can look at the revenue quarterly. This is like their best quarter by far in at least 5 years. It's just a massive inflection point blowout. And now they're talking about, if you look at the press release on the conference call, they're talking about how now they're gonna, after they've basically fixed the core of the company and the margins and architecturally, like they're like, now we can scale and focus on growth, right? That's the whole message of the ER. It's like we've paid off our debts, we've got our cost structure down, we're profitable, and now we're growing, and the whole focus now is growth. And they have a couple exciting growth places. Actually, one of them are these IMAX. The IMAX movies actually use Kodak film, and IMAX has been exploding lately. And then pharmaceuticals, another area of growth. So firing on all cylinders. And usually I don't like buying dips. It's just a risk management strategy I have. Basically, never to buy dips, but once in a while I do. I did it in Katos last night. It paid off. I'm doing it in Kodak here. Hopefully it'll pay off. But even when I buy dips, I do it within allocation rules. But as a general rule, I don't like to buy dips unless I have extreme conviction on something. Kodak is one of them. So even bought call options on Kodak this morning. So anyway, those are the things at the top of our radar. It's NVIDIA and Katos and Zeta and Gold and Kodak. Apps crushed earnings, but I'm not too familiar with this company, so therefore I didn't play it. But I tried listening to the conference call, but I'm not too familiar with this sector of this company.
So Substack had news this morning.
Are you serious? What was the news?
I missed that. So Substack adds assessment services to help B2B customers better understand rodent infestations.
Good
Oh,
idea.
they talked about something like this, that they want to offer now services
To teach people.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on Benzinga here. So anyway, Substack reports earnings tonight. You can see it; it's exploding into the earnings report because they had a press release a couple days ago, basically pre-announcing massive revenue growth for their direct-to-consumer business, like hundreds of percent sequentially, like something crazy. And that's also something they kind of we've interviewed them twice over the last couple months, and they talked about that as well, that was coming. So earnings tonight, people are getting pumped into the earnings report. You have some resistance here at 190, and I would say 190 to 2. It really looks poised to hit that if they have a good earnings report, and then we'll have to go back and reevaluate once we're at that resistance, see how the earnings report is tonight, and then we'll decide what we're thinking from there. So, but those are all the tickers at the top of my list. Anything you guys want to talk about that I didn't touch on here?
Oh, the Qs have been going down here. I just wrote them down pretty well. I don't know why they're going down, but it looks like a little healthy pullback.
This and paired with this move in gold, it's kind of scaring me. So
yeah,
I took actually, it wasn't even a profit. I was up on Rocket Lab calls. I think I probably sold for break even or a small loss. They expired this week. I'm out of that. I decided to sell Lunar for now. No, I didn't. I'm still in Lunar. Let me just see. Am I going to swing Lunar? Am I going to swing Lunar with the gold? I don't know that I'm going to swing Lunar, guys. I don't like this rejection at the 20 DMA with gold doing what it's doing.
It's definitely interesting.
So I'm out of Lunar. I'm trying to raise cash because if you're in the market the last few days, we've had a good few days, obviously. So I'm trying to pivot. I'm trying to raise cash, except for Kodak, and then focus on this gold breakout. That's kind of where my head's at, guys. I feel like it's kind of a little smart kind of move, right? To take profits from the last few days and then rotate into something that's kind of seen as could be seen as a market hedge, right? Like what's going on, the gold's exploding. That can be like a kind of hedgy behavior sometimes, how it moves. So I'm kind of taking this as a sign from above to be like, let's take some profits and rotate into this hedge that might be some sort of warning about something, which we don't know yet.
Something's happening.
Maybe the petrodollar, like I suggested. I don't know.
Gold's starting to explode again right here, guys. Looks like it's about to curl up. And
honestly, I think this is like the story. This is going to be a big story tonight. I don't know if people are talking about it on X yet, but they will be. They will be because this 50 DMA is massive, guys. That red line, you see it there. Wow. I could easily see this thing. You asked me for a target earlier, Rhett.
410.
Yeah, 410, but 400 to 410. Like you got a big psychological level at 400. So 400 to 410, and it's Wednesday. I honestly would not be surprised to see this by Friday. I would not be surprised to see.
Yeah, it looks like it's heading in that direction real quick.
Yeah. So I also added Nugget ETFs. I'm in GLD. I added NUGT just before he came on the show. and I have gold calls, and I feel like I wish I had guts to be a little irresponsible. I have a 1.1% allocation right now on gold calls. I wish I had the guts to like go 3, 4, 5%, but that's a slippery road, guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
The Qs look like they could pull back a little more right here, so I don't know. Something's going on in this market real quick. It all just turned around.
I'm all out Katos. I tried buying the dip and I bailed on it. Want to preserve my profits. I suggested this morning that if it gets into the 52, 54 area, it could be a dip buy. But I don't even know that I want to. This market's kind of having me think about raising cash and just playing gold. That's what I'm thinking about right now. Look at this. Yeah. Look at this gold move. Holy smokes.
I know.
Are you still in anything? What are you in?
Yeah, I have a few still.
I sold all mine, and now I'm kind of regretting it. Here,
you're all out.
I sold most. I kept like 2 or something. I didn't keep much. I basically all out.
I'm gonna sell Rocket Lab too here.
Let me see.
I think I'm gonna make my Webull account just cash and gold.
Cash and gold sounds like a store. Cash and gold.
And I have a Kodak call in there too. Let's see.
Oh crap! What time is the Are we live streaming is today this conference call for Substack?
I don't know.
That's your job, right? I'm just kidding. How are we supposed to know this?
I mean, do we have to live? Right? I mean, we're interviewing them tomorrow. I don't know if we need to live stream the call. Maybe, I don't know if I'm in the mood. We got a lot of earnings reports tonight.
Another one I want to mention too is ASTS. They had a great launch this morning, successful. All of them are in orbit now, so we shall see how that plays out. Long-term thesis remains intact. Just biggest competitor now
tonight. Oh, Redwire is tonight. Oh shit! I just sold it. I just sold it because the market was like kind of weak. Do I want to take a pick? No, I didn't choose Redwire. The Redwire is one of the ones I said I'll act on it if they beat rather than making a bet. So tonight we have some ERs of note. We have Alto Ingredients reporting. Look at that move. LEU, which, man, Godfather gave us a stock a long time ago, and I've kept it the whole time. Yeah, I'm up like 300% on it or something. Company. And then we have Sinestech tonight. We have Axon. Axon, great retirement account stock. Wow, look at it ripping into the earnings report the last few days. I love Axon, beautiful company. Then we have Root, we have App. App's the big one people are going to be looking at. App loving. I don't really trade this stock. I've never owned it.
Now, Root was connected to Carvana, though, correct?
Root, I mean, they have a big relationship. Yeah, why? But Carvana have a bad report?
Carvana had a bad report, right?
It came right back. Wow, look at all these charts. They're all doing the same thing. This is the same thing that Meta did, and it's the same thing that Reddit's doing. Hold on. Let's look at Reddit.
Yeah, look at that. It bounced
all the same charts. Look at this. These gap downs after earnings, and they make it back.
And then they pop right back up. Yep.
And we also have SanDisk tonight, guys. We have eBay. Oh, my gosh. How am I going to handle all this tonight?
Oh, it's a lot.
XYZ, which I don't know. Everyone cares about Square anymore, but
I don't think so. They squared themselves right out of people talking about them.
Yep.
I mean, what a stupid name for a company. XYZ.
Square
was much better.
Yeah, I always sometimes have a brain fart, and I keep looking for their old ticker whenever I go to look for the stock.
Oh man, I don't know. I want to take a bigger risk on gold somehow. What can I do? I love the contract, the August 12th 390. What is that? Is that next Friday, August 12th?
No, those are Wednesdays.
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Dude, I feel like they're leaps in this market environment. I feel like a week out is a leap.
Week out's a leap.
I got the. I'm like, that's a lifetime. I got plenty of time on those. I'm not even trying to trade. I'm just holding it long term. I'm just holding those leaps.
I got the rest of my life until next week.
Those are just beautiful. They're up 46%. Oh my gosh, I haven't sold any of them yet. Look at this gold. This is all I want to do today is trade gold.
Well, I want to do is a trade gold, and a trade
Yeah,
gold.
gold was a
Let's
great
trade some
trade.
gold.
Oh, Joby's tonight also. Izzy.
Yeah, there's a lot of good
Joby. Is
reports.
Joby even on my list?
Izzy loves Joby.
Today, I know he does. Okay, it wasn't even on my list. I got to add it.
I think he's on the board.
I'm going to have to drink like 5 cups of coffee before earnings tonight. Last night was crazy. Today's going to be crazy. Tomorrow afternoon's crazy too.
They're all crazy, yeah.
And UMAC is tomorrow morning. Oh my gosh. And Celsius is tomorrow morning. This is just insane. All right. Any got like comments or questions over here? What do we got going on?
Let's see.
Let me see. Let me check them out now.
Gold.
Joby tonight. Oh, nothing. If you guys have something you want us to talk about, put it in the chat.
Oh my gosh, I got gold. Oh man, I wish I had more contracts.
Oh, so also you can also watch earning calls on their Benzinga's channel. They stream companies over 50 billion market cap.
Oh, nice. I didn't know.
Where do you get see that?
Host, if you can put a link in the chat for us, that'd be great. Then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's great.
I've been trying to use the Benzinga has this feature that I've been trying to use more, which is the squawk, the radio thing. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, people love that.
It's actually helped me during the earnings because sometimes they call out like an EPS beat or miss or whatever before it actually shows the article in the news feed. So that's actually helped me at times.
So someone's asking about our opinion on the VIX the last couple of days. Been the same direction as the indices, they're saying.
Oh, really? I don't really follow the VIX. Been the same direction as the indices. Look, all I can tell you is I go day by day in my predictions in the macro, and I've been spot on. I got one day wrong. That was the day that the news came out about Leopold funds. So look at this QQQ. I mean, absolutely incredible. Every single day we come in, and since July 15th, we're like red alert, red alert, red alert, yellow alert, yellow alert, red alert, red alert, red alert, red alert, red alert, red alert. We got one wrong right here, red alert. This is July 30th when the Leopold situation came out, and I was just at an information disadvantage. If I knew what was going on behind the scenes the weekend prior with the calls going, Martin Shkreli gave the whole story about what was happening. He knew, and a lot of funds knew what was happening. So when the news came out that Leopold sold to Citadel, that was obviously a buy signal for everyone that knew what was going on. But for the rest of us, we were hearing about it for the first time, and I was wondering about contagion risk and things like that. So I stayed at a red alert on that crazy day, and then slowly next day went to yellow alert, and we've been at green now 3 days in a row. So I did all of this analysis without looking at the VIX. Nothing to do with the VIX for me. I don't need the VIX. All right.
I don't look at it.
I can feel the volatility, and it's just one input into many things. I do it based on geopolitics and earnings and technicals and things like that. I don't use VIX. Don't need it. I have an amazing track record predicting.
He uses Tylenol.
Yeah. So I will tell you now, I'm getting a little nervous, getting a little tough. I did say, look, QQQ is going to follow SPY and IWM to all-time new highs. I'm a little worried about what's going on with gold today.
Look at them Qs dipping down. I said they were about to pull back, and there you go, everybody.
Yeah.
So they just dipped down real nice.
So it does give me pause. That's why I've been raising cash. But, I'll have to evaluate tonight, the cause of this gold move. We'll look at the technicals again. And, there's a chance we get a sell then use, and it may be developing right now on Iran agreement, especially because this agreement sucks ass. Sorry.
What's the agreement?
Say that on YouTube. I heard it's worse than the prior MOU. It's like give a ton of money to Iran, get rid of all the sanctions, let them it's going to say, okay, they can't charge fees for 60 days, but that's what it's setting them up for in the Strait of Hormuz. It's basically like a total surrender. And by the way, this is why I'm so bullish on laser and AVAB, because the reason we've lost
Russia just hit 3 cargo vessels.
Who did what?
Russia just hit 3 cargo vessels in the Black Sea.
And by the way, there's a lot of that going on too. In my morning note every morning, I give an update on what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, and they are slamming each other's energy infrastructure like crazy.
Really bad.
I mean,
getting crazy.
Let's see what's going on with USO.
Bye-bye Qs.
So USO's down. The technicals don't look great right now, in terms of a bounce back up. But I'm really concerned for the price of oil. I'm concerned about the U.S. dollar. I'm concerned about the petrodollar. There's a lot of things going on. So,
huge off on that news.
I monitor that every day. And, I'm a green alert now. I did say all-time highs, but every day I have the right to change my mind based on what's going on. So we'll see. And I don't really need the VIX to make that decision for me.
That was a 25% call when I said the Qs were going down.
Yeah. But what was I going to say? Oh, you could have. What was I going to say is this deal looks like it's going to be announced today. It's all but now, and maybe you're going to sell the news on it, because we've been up so much, and this has been advertised pretty heavily that it's coming. Maybe you get a little spike, with the algos when it comes out later today. They seem very insistent, United States, on signing that deal today. But I got sidetracked. What I wanted to say is this is a major, major loss, strategic loss for the United States of America. And it tells you the important. I am so bullish on laser and AVEV. Let me make sure. I was going to check if I have AVEV in my retirement account. I've been in and out. I want to make sure it's there. Give me 1 second. But the core reason why we've basically lost this militarily is, I have AVEV, is because of the asymmetric warfare, because of the economics of how drones work, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just cannot produce, it's not a fair fight, right? Like, you're making these missile defense, these missiles that cost millions and millions of dollars, and shooting that off to shoot down a $20,000 drone, you're going to go broke. All right. You're going to go broke, which is what's happening, and why we have to basically say, you get everything you want, Iran, right? So what's the solution to that? It's laser defense. And I just think about the cost, how much is this costing the United States or any Western country that may face asymmetric warfare? I mean,
we've seen it in Ukraine as well.
Ukraine is, it's almost existential, right? You can't put a dollar value on coming up with a system to defend yourself from these cheap drones or other cheap projectiles. You can't put a dollar value on that. United States and other Western countries, and any country really, has no choice but to put maximum budget, and hopefully the Democrats will understand this, in laser defense.
Mm-hmm.
Laser defense is the future. Each shot is just a few cents versus millions of dollars, and you have to do this. So, I mean, I own laser and size in my retirement account. I own AVAV, not in large enough size, but I got to get more size on this. And by the way, they're about to win a contract worth a few $100 million for laser defense, based on an article coming out from Wired yesterday that Wired put out there. When is the earnings report on AVEV? It's not for another month. Okay, but lasers tonight or tomorrow, soon. In any case, that's how I look at the geopolitics here. I look at this and I'm like, I want to be long laser and AVEV. So, I mean, I like to, in cases like this, I don't really like to look at the financials. I just look at things from a market cap and TAM perspective. And based on what I said, what is that TAM? The TAM is almost unlimited, because you have to save the US dollar. How much is that worth? It's worth hundreds of billions of dollars. How much? Infinite. Infinite. How much what should the market cap of, a company that's successful at laser defense? It's not going to be $4 billion. It's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 billion dollars. So that's how I look at, long-term ideas like this. Anyway, went on a sidetrack.
All good.
No, I was on the same page with laser with you. I posted a video yesterday. There's a video of this Ukrainian guy getting chased around by a drone, and then they just shoot the drone down at the guy, and it detonates, and the guy flies over a car. It's pretty wild. I was playing it last night, and I mean, what do you do in that situation when a drone's chasing you around and there's nowhere to hide? I mean, that thing's going in.
It's terrible.
What do you do? I don't know.
Hopefully one day, hopefully all the wars will just be fought by robots, and we all sit at home, and may the best robot win, and nobody dies. And it's they're fighting over some field where nobody lives, and that's it.
Like a Nintendo game.
So someone's asking there's a few questions here. Did you listen to the ANET ANETER or no?
No, I'm not even familiar with that company. Sorry, I have nothing to say about it.
I know. I
Arista
looked
Network.
at the stock. the other
Another
day.
$250 billion company. I don't know. I mean, this is just crazy. Look at that move today.
Mhm, it
4%,
was
big move.
massive.
Sorry, I'm not familiar. I can't be familiar with every company. Next, what else we got?
Let's see. The previous MOU didn't hold. This one is worst deal for the U.S. Can't same thing. And then someone saying Q's down 1.75 after 25.3 day move, and you are panicking. Someone said. You see that comment?
Stop
No,
panicking
I'm
there.
panicking.
then,
Who's panicking about the
And
Qs?
then STAK.
No, I'm not
right?
panicking about the Qs. I'm panicking about gold. What the hell is that? What's gold trying to tell us? But yeah, what else? STAK.
I've never heard of this one. I
I've
don't
never
think.
heard of that. How I've been doing this for 30 years, and every day someone gives me tickers I never heard of. How's that
Yeah.
even possible?
No,
It is
no.
amazing. I do the same thing.
It's par for the course. That happens to me every single day, Ben. So it is what it is.
How the heck
That
did it become
stack is a
11
piece of
o'clock
junk, though.
already? That was fast.
I
Yes,
hope I
sir.
entertained everyone, including Ryan. Were you entertained there?
I sure was. And judging by looking at the chat, yeah, you definitely did. You guys are going to have Jay Rice here, that comment that you guys were laughing about. He's a bit of an acquired taste here, but it's really good. It was the I don't know that I would necessarily call it a panic, but it was indeed about gold. All right.
Yeah.
Really good stuff here, guys. We'll see you next week.
All
Right?
right.
See you guys.
All right, take care.
All right.
Have a good one,
Take care.
guys.
Bye-bye.
That is Ben, Dougie Fresh, and Rhett. Story trading, absolutely getting it done yet again. Keep joining us. They'll be back here next week. Next, we're going to send you over to the Drift right now with Adam Mesh and Tom Sosnov. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused.